Hey y'all, welcome back to Spirit of the Outdoors, live from Mississippi. We don't say Mississippi, we say Mississippi. Come on. Let's see if I can find y'all in the chat on this iPad. I know there's already folks just lined up sending messages and I need to read them. Well, it's gonna make me start all slim over, ain't it? Let's try this again. There it is. I bet now I gotta watch an ad.
An official message from Medicare.
A new law
Yeah.
means we're saving more money on prescription drugs with Medicare.
Saving money on prescription drugs.
Go to ssa.gov/extra help.
Now I gotta watch another ad
Of course. Gypsy juice.
before I can read your message. There I am. Whoa, Lord. We gotta mute that. It'll be going echoing, won't it? So, how are everybody tonight? Pennsylvania, Michigan Prepper, Uncle Sasquatch, Larry Alexander, JL327, David Rushing, Jason McAllister, among others that's watching at home that don't have a chat bar on the TV. We welcome you tonight. Not going to be doing any cooking tonight. It's just me. Brody went to stay with his nana and them again. Lisa went to a church service. Michelle went to the hospital, so I'm here by myself. I decided I wasn't gonna cook, being it's gardening time and pickle making time of the year, because that's about the only thing you can do with a blooming cucumber. I figured I'd polish off what was left of this jar of pickle. It can't be good for you, so I figured it was a good idea. So what y'all been up to other than sweltering in this heat? We got a break from it yesterday. Back hot today though. Mickey, I'm doing pretty good. I've been better, but I've also been worse. And it don't pay to complain, because they don't nobody really want to hear all that. So I just say I'm doing good. Uncle Sasquatch, I got on that riding lawnmower yesterday. My daddy's riding one right now. Y'all probably can hear a little of that in the background. Luana, y'all, that's some distant family I've got joined in. I rode the lawnmower yesterday, and when I start, I don't know, I can't stop. I'm afraid if I quit, I'll get in that air conditioner and won't go back out there. But now I stay outside all day. I enjoy riding the lawnmower actually, because I feel like I'm doing something. I'm getting something accomplished, and I'm just riding. But it's hot, y'all. I mean, when I come in, I was burnt up. And we missed out on the rain yesterday. I planted my pumpkins. They hadn't sprouted yet because it hadn't rained. So I'm waiting on that rainstorm. And I figure when it does come, I'll be down there fighting crows. Last year, the crows plucked up my pumpkins. David Rushing, I hadn't started on my bow yet. I got a stave laid out that I'm going to do one on. I've got a bow half done that's been half done for a year or more. But I'm working on knives again. I worked on pottery hard and heavy for 2 or 3 days. Got my elbow all out of sorts, y'all. That rolling pin, rolling that clay out and wedging it. And I tell you what I did. I reached over and grabbed that bottle of wild lettuce tincture and took a swig out of it. And my elbow didn't hurt all day. Now, y'all, a lot of people, they think, oh, opium. They see this opium lettuce videos and stuff. Y'all, you don't get high off lettuce. You don't even feel much of nothing. You just, it numbs stuff. I mean, you kind of relax, but you don't feel nothing. I've tried a bunch of stuff over my years of growing up, my wilder days. You don't feel nothing on wild lettuce, so it ain't like that. So I took it and worked all day, and my elbow did not hurt all day. But what that done is I overworked that elbow, and it burnt like fire yesterday. So I got out there this morning and cut out some knife blanks. I still got a pile of people wanting knives, and I can make a little extra money doing that instead of sitting here not doing nothing. I got a couple of big pottery orders I need to be getting done, but just my elbow ain't letting me. Larry, honestly, ours has been growing a lot because we got a big rain about 2 weeks ago, or a week ago. This week we missed out on what rains come through. So as hot as it is now, it'll burn it up pretty fast. It'll get dry quick now. So maybe ours will slack off on growing, but I don't know. I'd rather it cool off and the grass grow, to be honest with you. I don't mind cutting grass. I just don't like the heat. Y'all, I'm over summer already. I mean, I'm over summer. It could snow tomorrow and I'd be tickled pink. Well, I sat right there, ate that whole, well, it wasn't a whole jar. It wasn't a handful of pickles left in it. Ho, ho, ho. Charlie Pickerel. I seen Richard Jean put a video out. I hadn't watched it, which I hadn't watched a whole lot of anything in the last several days. Been busy. Chris, you did show up on time. You gonna make a hand yet? Oh, Richard Jean, I did see he's in them creeks up there. Them creeks he fishes, y'all. He can see that there's fish in there. Where I fish, you can fish all day. They may not be a fish nowhere, and you don't know it. Can't see in our creeks. I sure didn't see that, and it grabbed my day till he come up there to the top of the water, and that was in a pond, and it was fairly clear water. I'm drinking coffee in this hot weather. It is almost about 95 degrees, look. And that's in the shade over there. That's under this thing, so. Nice and hot. Yeah, Chris, I'm against you on that. I rebuke that spirit. I'm over summer. I'm sick of it. Let me get my garden in and let it frost tomorrow. Kill these flies. Tired of sweating. I can put clothes on and build a fire. I ain't even got to smell no wood burn in 2 or 3 months. Get the theming, for it. Want to smell that wood burn. I may go down. Well, no, I did get to smell some of the night. I made charcoal again the other day. I got a fly wanting to type something, but he don't know how to type. Get on. You go find your own iPad to type on. Leg is about healed. Y'all, I doctored on this leg with aloe vera a couple of times, and then I used plantain salve. And y'all, it is the bubble finally popped the other day, and I say the other day, last weekend actually. The bubble popped and it healed up, no problems whatsoever. It's just a red spot at this point, so I doctored it with 2nd-degree burns, doctored at home with nothing but aloe vera and plantain salve. That was strictly it that was put on there, and it healed up fine, which I took care of it, didn't let it get infected, but you can heal stuff with those plants, so legs good, we in good shape with that. Pawpaw, I can't stand the heat either. And what happened to me was I had some heat strokes doing metal roofing, and that triggers something in your body and resets. I don't know what it does, but Now the heat affects me a whole lot worse than it did beforehand. Used to I could get out and work it. It was hot, but I could deal with it. It wasn't no big deal. Now I'm a wimp. It don't, I can't handle it no more. Modern Outdoors, that was big old flathead catfish. My wife's uncle, we call him Pappy Glenn, he put that fish in there 10 to 15 years ago. I'm not sure exactly what year he put it in there. He's been dead several years, and he was unable to fish 10, 15, well, he was unable to fish 5 to 10 years that he was in bad health. So the fish is 10 to 15 years been in that pond. It was no telling how old then, so you want to get an idea how much a fish grows, and it's got plenty bluegill to eat in that pond, and it's probably the only predator I have, which they don't get fished hard in there. The pond is overstocked with bluegill and bass. All the bass are stunted and small. I mentioned to my dad-in-law about pouring about 1,000 minnows in there, and he didn't know what to think about that. So if I do that, I'm gonna have to slip them in there. But otherwise, the fish in there ain't got nothing to eat. They eat what bluegill they can that are young, but other than that, and I'm sure they all eat a lot of young bluegill, but there's still a lot of them in there. Yeah, once you've, and Pawpaw, that heat exhaustion got me. One year I had one spell that I laid down in the grass and everything was tinkling, quit sweating and all that stuff. Now, I never did like pass completely out, but I had quit sweating and got the shakes and, all that stuff. You just know something's wrong, and laid down in the yard. The next year it happened twice, and then the following year I had 4 spells, and I was like, that's it. If I try to make another summer out of this, I'll die. And I give it up. And of course, I prayed the Lord help me to get pottery. And so now I'm making knives and pottery and YouTube videos for a living, I reckon. All of it together. You can't make a living at any one thing, don't seem like anymore. As soon as something tapers off, you got to be able to grab a hold to something else and be flexible and do whatever it takes to put money in the bank, and then try to not have very many bills. And the more stuff it's paid off, and that's a blessing that we've got from the Lord, is most everything we own is paid for. We're paying on one vehicle, so. And then we got internet and such as that stuff, light, water, all that stuff that we pay for. Never get away from all of that, I don't reckon. Unless I invest in a bunch of solar panels, but till I quit making pottery and running keels, that ain't a full swing option here. Tennessee Smoker, you got that right. I told somebody, I said, if we ever have a power failure, like for an extended period of time in the summer, the heat will kill more people than starvation down here in the South, because we done all got, I'm fat. We can't get out and deal with this heat no more. You imagine trying to live in a house that you can't cool at all. It gets so hot in there you couldn't have all the windows and doors open. And boy, it'd get tough. Be tough. Chris, it's one of them things that AC is one thing down here in the South that we got to have. One thing, our houses are not set up. It would take 3 months probably at least to somewhat get acclimated back to where you could handle it. And that's, stuck in the heat having to deal with everything. We would eventually, those of us in fairly decent health, would adjust, but it would kill a lot of the elderly, the disabled. I mean, there's a lot of people that's already got health issues and stuff. It would wipe, the heat alone would wipe them out. And then lack of food's going to get the other, they won't be. If we go to a power down situation for 3 months, it'll get rid of 90% of people in America, I figure. I hope that don't never happen. I don't look forward to it. Nancy Pierce, the Tipi. I've had a lot of people ask about the Tipi. And y'all, if I don't get to your question, if you ask a question, put it back on there in a little bit, because I just have to catch them as I see them and talk about them. I don't ignore anything on purpose. So if I didn't answer your question, put it back up there in a few minutes, and we'll get to it. But the TP, I've got the TP on hold right now, and it's for a very good reason. I have got the TP made, but I have not made my lacing pin holes. Now, the lacing pins is when you wrap that thing around the pole standing up. Where your door is, you got 2 pins that go under the door, and then there's about 8 that line up above the door, and you overlap your fabric, and then your lacing pin goes through 2 holes and back out 2 holes. Those holes have to be cut in that fabric and hand stitched around to reinforce them, or possibly put some leather around it. I thought about putting leather around it, sewing me a leather pad around where each set of holes go to reinforce it. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But my main issue is I don't know precisely how far apart they need to be so that they line up on both sides. Now, obviously, my material has a lot of stretch to it. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I want to make sure with all the work that's going to go into these buttonholes that I get them in the right place. So what has put it on hold is I ordered a book. I joined a TP group on Facebook, and Miss Linda, that is the administrator of that group, is the author of TPs, TPs, and TPs. And I looked at the book. I actually could pull the book up and find some information on Everin. You can pull books up, the digital copy, and look through the book. But it's hard to zoom it in where you can actually read stuff and patterns and all that. So I just bought the book. It wasn't very expensive, like $20. And I ordered the book. It'll be here this coming week. Said sometime around July the 1st or so. So I'm waiting on that book to get here so that I can make sure I've got my lacing pins in the correct place. Once I know for a fact I got them go, I'll cut the poles in a day's time and peel them probably, and we'll get the thing erected. Because more than likely, I'm going to cut poles, peel them, and stand them up in there that day and wrap it skin with TP. Wrap the TP skin around the poles. I'll take it back down after those poles have dried standing up and the fabric and all on it. I'll take it back down because I'll need the experience of taking it down, putting it up, you know, all this stuff, adjusting things. And when I take it back down, I'll oil those poles good later in the fall. And so that is the hold up on the TP. I'm itching to get the thing made. It's piled up right here on my table. I don't know, it's right where I have left it. So it is not like put away and given up on by any means. We're definitely building TP. I'm excited about doing it, but it is very hot under this shed right now. So, sitting out here sewing on TP ain't been my number one, what I want to do last couple of days. It's been hot, y'all. Yesterday wasn't too bad. That's why I cut grass yesterday. Y'all drink the pickle juice out of the pickle jars. And that's homemade pickles, obviously. The whale, Danny, I have not fooled with the whale a whole lot, but now it's got water in it. I checked it a month or so ago and it had plenty of water in it. Our water table is dropping probably right now, so I hadn't checked it in a couple of weeks. But every time I've looked at it, it's got water in it. I really need to go into it and see about drilling it on out deeper, but I don't know. It's a lot of work to do all of that. Yeah, Chris, it's hot down here too. It's the pickle juices, and that vinegar in it helps rejuvenate. So. Whoo-wee. Hot in Oklahoma, homesteading and natural healing. Yes, it's hot all across the United States. A couple of weeks ago, we were actually cooler than some of the Northeast and stuff. Now we've caught up with everybody. I think it's been tough. Now I don't hardly ever look at the weather and the maps and see what temperatures are everywhere. I just know how I feel out here. Tennessee, ours probably ain't got as much salt as a lot of people's. But I drink enough goldenrod tea that I keep my kidneys flushed out. I don't have kidney problems. I drink goldenrod tea weekly. I love it. I've drank probably 2 or 3 pots of it this week down there. If I'm making pottery, I've got a pot of goldenrod tea brewing. And it'll be in that coffee pot, and that's what I drink while and I do it for the purpose. One thing, it'll help get water off of you. It helps with water retention, so I keep my kidneys flushed out. Salt stuff is not a problem with me. Now Michelle struggles with it, but y'all, Michelle will not take medicines that I make, teas and things. Just, I don't know, hard-headed, I guess. So she struggles with stuff I don't really struggle with, but Jimmy Sullivan, you've been out cutting the grass too. You wanted to cut that grass today so you could fish tomorrow. I know what you got planned. I don't blame you. I've thought about going myself, but it's about too hot to fish. Chris said, I don't know how you wearing pants. I can't wear them short sleeve breeches. I do. Y'all won't never see me with a pair of short sleeve breeches on. That's for city folk. That ain't for country folks out doing stuff. Kenny, good to hear from you. We love celebrating Appalachia. All of them up there, and the Presley girls, all of them are good folks. We watch a lot of them, although we don't comment on a whole lot of people's stuff. Well, Michelle don't comment hardly on anything. I don't comment on stuff that we watch on TV, and usually when we lay back in the bed, which as of late I have not watched a lot of stuff because I have gotten into watching the Into the Wilderness series that was on the Inspiration channel. It is on YouTube. So you can go to the Inspiration YouTube channel and you can watch all of the Into the Wilderness stuff in sequence. And there's 2 seasons of it right now, and I think there's like a 3rd season and there's other seasons of certain individuals like Jim Bridger, I think, and different ones. So I've been watching all that, trying to go through it. I didn't watch it as it was debuting on TV, because I'd forget about it every time, and I don't like to start something in the middle, so I'd rather sit down, put it on YouTube, watch it, as soon as it's off, put the next one on and watch it. So binge watching them, you know what I mean? So those of you that didn't know, Into the Wilderness is on Inspiration on YouTube. So I know all of you are on YouTube because you're here tonight. So if you're interested in the mountain man stuff, there you go. And they've been good shows, the ones I have watched. Homesteading and natural healing, getting out of the city and figuring out how to live your own life at your own pace is the best way, no doubt, hands down, that everybody should do it. Because if the world goes perfect and everybody does marry and everybody gets along and it's a perfect world, so what? It's okay. But if something goes south, if there is any kind of a problem, being stuck in a city is a death trap. Because you ain't going to get nothing. The food comes from out in the country and goes into the city. It don't come out of the city out into the country. It just don't work that way. And that's the thing, people look at us rural people and say, oh, y'all backwards hillbilly rednecks, y'all are all slow and stupid and ignorant and don't know nothing, and why you teaching herbal medicine, why you doing, y'all don't really know nothing. And that just tells you how ignorant they are, because we grew up with gardens, plants. I mean, been around it all my life. I have not fooled with herbal medicine all my life, but gardening, growing my own food, knowing what I could forage and pick and eat for the most part, I knew what from a kid what berries out here wild was good and which ones I didn't need to fool with. Now we was told pokeberries was poisonous, leave them alone. I've since learned they're just kind of like peels. They're really medicinal. You don't want to eat very many. But being able to be out here to where I can grow some stuff, y'all, if I don't cook for a week right now with a garden, I could walk around every day and keep myself alive right here in my yard till fall without cooking anything. I mean, just get up and walk out here and grab stuff and eat it. We got plums, we've got the figs will hit before long, the muscadines will hit, and we talking about stuff that I ain't even got to work for. Not to mention my garden down there and the tomatoes, and I mean, you get sick of eating the same thing over and over, but if you're hungry, you're not real picky. You can't do all that in a city. In a city, at best, you can have a raised bed, which is your best option. Next is tubs to plant stuff in. Well, y'all, I'm going to be honest with y'all. There is a huge craze of people putting stuff in tubs and baskets and all this kind of stuff, plastic containers, and they call it container garden. Y'all, that is a poor do. And I'm going to tell you why. It takes a lot of water to make that happen. My garden down there where I plant stuff in the ground, if it don't rain for a week, I might water it twice in that week. I don't have to go out there every day and pour water. I got 3 tomatoes up here in tubs, and the tomatoes is this big around because if you don't fill that tub full of water every day, all the water in it evaporates out because it's heating it all the way around the bottom. It's not wicking moisture up from the water table down in the ground. And the sun is heating the sides of those roots down there, so it's singeing the edge of them roots and stuff that grow out to the edge of the tubs. It's not a good thing. Will it work? Yeah, you can grow some food if that's the only way you got to grow food. But I have people preach stuff in this gardening deal and talk about it like, oh, this is the most wonderful thing. Well, people out in rural places like where I live that forsake planting a garden out here and say, well, I'm just going to put me some, and they go get them some stuff and put soil in buckets. I'm like, you know, if you want to plant on your porch, do this. If you just want something that I can step out the door and grab one or something to play with, do it. But if you're seriously thinking that is what I'm going to eat and live off of, you backing up, because it takes a heap of water just to keep it alive, much less make it make fruit. And the reason I can comfortably sit here and say that is because I've tried every way you can think of. I see stuff and I'm like, okay, well, let me see what this does. And I don't go at things thinking, okay, this is going to work good. I'm going to do this and make it work. And then if it don't, I go, well, I'm going to try it again. I like it. It's going to work. It works. I just didn't do it right. You do a couple of things the same way, especially after about 3 or 4 years in a row, and see what happens every year. Container garden ain't the way to go. That is a poor do, a poor excuse for gardening. If you're in town and that's all you got, do it. That is for you people. That is what you need to be doing. But if you got a plot of land that you can dig a hole in the dirt out in the yard, by all means plant there first. A raised bed is the next best option, because the raised bed is still wicking moisture up out of the water table. You got to water it a little more frequently than you do garden, but it's a lot better than a plastic container. And that's just my opinions on the things, and I'm pretty strong in them opinions. And it's because I've tried it year and year and year. If you this, that, well, maybe it was the wrong tomato. Well, maybe I ought to not grow tomatoes. Maybe I ought to grow this. Maybe I put a squash there. And stuff will come up Right now, I've got a squash. Actually, it's a pumpkin. Come up volunteer at the edge of my chicken pen right beside them 3 tomatoes. And it is way bigger than any of them tomatoes, and I ain't watered it but one time. The other day when I was watering them buckets, I stuck a water hose over there and wet the ground around it a little bit. So, you know, that's just my personal thoughts on it. And I realize that y'all watch some of them big 250,000 subscriber homestead channels, and they said, do this. But they getting paid to tell you to do that stuff. It ain't because they really agree with it. I can tell you that for a fact. Alright, so what we want to fuss about next? I have not really looked for purslane. I do think I have it here. Um, Nikki asked about Jonah knives. I am working on some, but I have had so many people asking about them. I usually, when I make one right now, I go back and look through my people that have asked about one and be like, oh, them. And so, if you really want one, you can shoot me an email, and it may be a while before I get to you. Because, I mean, I'm not making knives full time, but I am making some. So I have got a hold to some steel, and my dad's saving me some more saw blades. So maybe we won't run out of saw blades. I have a limited supply of this metal. And when those saw blades are gone, I won't be making Jonahs anymore. Because that's what they're made out of. And I had somebody gave me some stuff. I did go get the steel. I heard something, I don't know what it is. Roscoe's in the house. I thought I heard a dog whimper out here somewhere. I've got my other Roxanne is on the chain because she's killing baby chickens. I had to tie her up until the baby chickens get big enough that she don't kill them. She's killed 2 of my baby chickens that got out. So somebody get mad because I got a dog on a chain, but it ain't none of their business. Now, what was I going off about knives? I'm not making knives full time. I'm making them as I can. So somebody sent me some saw blades. Regular skill saw blades won't make a good knife. I mean, you can make a knife out of them. You can make a toothbrush sharp enough to poke something if you want to. I mean, for crying out loud, the Native Americans sharpened rocks and used them. You can make a knife out of them. But the quality of knife that I'm making, I look for a certain steel, and it has to be of a certain quality. And I know the blades that I'm using are Tenru blades. To say that you can't make something out of I tell you one thing, a skill saw blade is probably what I would go for to make me some broadhead tips because they're thinner and a lot lighter. And I may cut some of them up and make broadheads for my traditional archery stuff when I get into that later on in the fall. But for the quality of knife that I'm making and selling, regular skill saw blades won't do it. Big commercial blades that are thicker, you can get away with making some stuff out of them. Local life, let me give you a piece of advice about fixing a hole in a boat if it's plastic boat. You go back and watch me and Jerry Hunt get down there in the swamp. And we camped out down there, and his kayak he was in had a hole in it. Old Town kayak, whatever they made out of it, plastic Rolex, whatever it was. And we mixed up some ashes and pine pitch in a can that we found down there in the swamp of garbage. And we put the plugs, patched that hole with pine pitch with charcoal mixed in with it from the fire. And I asked him about it when he come up here the other day. I said, what about that kayak? He said, you believe that hole is still... He said, when it flooded, he said, I went and checked fences in that kayak when it flooded to see how high the water was back there. He said, it didn't leak a drop. It's been 2 years. Pine tar. Pine pitch. So, will that work? Absolutely. I just thought I'd share that. I thought that was, I ain't suggesting that's what you need to go get to fix your boat with, but it will work. Yeah, Uncle Sasquatch, Roscoe is in my recliner in there, is exactly where he's at. Upside down with all 4 feet stuck up in there. Looking at me over the top of his head like this. How often do I make a run of pottery? John, probably between now and Christmas, it will get wide open, and I'll be doing it at least, well, usually I work 5-6 days a week. I have since started tapering off on it because I've gotten more and more stuff paid for, and it takes less and less and less for me to live on as far as money. And the less money I gotta have, the less I try to make. I ain't one of them people that thinks I need a bank account full of money to sit here and be happy. Money ain't what's gonna solve my problems, because every time I get a little bit, I'm sitting here right now with a little bit of money put back that I'm saving really to pay my deer camp dues, because I joined deer camp. I got to have $1,000, and I've got that $1,000. I got it kind of stuck to the side. Well, my daughter hit a pothole, busted a tire. We had to buy a tire today. Went and got her car yesterday and ordered the tire yesterday. She went and picked it up, had it put on, and paid for it today with my card, of course. $130, so wasn't bad. But anyway, have I ever used willow bark for pain? Yes, I have. It is not as good as wild lettuce. It is more aspirin-like, and for those of you that don't need to take aspirin, you don't need to use willow bark. It has the same effect. In fact, aspirin is kind of made from willow bark. So if you have blood issues and you don't need aspirins, you don't need to fool with willow bark. Okay. But yeah, it does work, but it works about like aspirin. Wild lettuce is more the go-to. Wild lettuce will work. Wild lettuce tincture is probably the easiest way to preserve wild lettuce to use. Wild lettuce tea works really good, and it's a fast, quick way to do it, but you got to drink a good bit of the bitter stuff. If you hurting right now and I ain't got no kind of medicine, go out there and cut the wild lettuce, wipe that sap off and lick it off your thumb. Time you get a teaspoonful, not at one time, cut it, lick it, do it little dab at a time. It'll take care of your problem. But anyway, yeah, willow bark works. I've used willow bark. It will work, and I don't have a problem with aspirin. So, yeah, if I need it for headaches and such as that, and I want something milder, I have very much made tea out of willow bark. So, it does work. It's a good medicine. It's just not as strong. And once I started using wild lettuce, but if I've got a headache, I would go more to willow bark. Where if I've got body ache, like my elbow, my knee, my this, whatever, back, I'd go to wild lettuce. So let that sort of help you make a decision. And the flies is trying to take my phone off, so if they crawl right in front of the camera over there, you'll know what it is. I don't like flies, none whatsoever. I have not used any yarrow Michigan Prepper. I don't have any right here. It grows in this area, but I've not found it. And if I'm not finding a plant, I'm not using it. Me saying, okay, I'm going to use this plant because I read about it, I'm going to go on the internet and order some of it, I'm not going to do that, because that defeats the whole purpose of what I'm doing here. My whole deal is I want to be able to leave my door, go out here in the wild and find what I need and use it and come back. And I've just not found it. Now, if it grows in your area, use it. I have researched it. It's got a lot of uses. I have not researched it extensively because I don't have it to fool with. And that's my thoughts, because I get asked about a lot of different medicinal plants. Like, some guy commented the other day about some tree, kratom or something. Well, it don't naturally grow here. I'm not even going to attempt to fool with something I got to get on the internet and order. Just not going to do it. My whole deal is I want to study and learn and use plants that grow in my area, so that I can get out here when I have a problem, I can just go get what I need and use it. If I got to get on the internet and order an herb to use it, I just well to order pain pills from the doctor. You know, I mean, not really. It's still a natural medicine, but y'all see what I'm getting at. My whole thought process is I want to just go out here and find what I need to take care of me. I don't want to have to depend on. So that eliminates me. Like stinging nettle is a good plant. I've never found stinging nettle. It's supposed to grow here, but I have not found it. So anyway. No, Matt, I've not planted plants late. They will not survive here that late. And the reason is not the heat. It gets so dry here. And I'm going to be honest with you. By middle of July, I am so sick of gardening, I'm ready for everything out there to burn up and die and leave it alone and be done with it. You know what I mean? I've got to get out there in the morning probably and start on my corn. Corn's ready. I could have done it today, hot. Probably going to get up really early in the morning and we're going to start picking corn, and probably tomorrow will be a putting up corn day. But once everything's done, I'll have canned tomatoes. We'll put a few tomatoes in a freezer, but that really ain't no good for nothing. I done that because I'd picked them and they was going to ruin and I had to do something with them. And I'll be honest with y'all, we don't eat a lot of canned tomatoes. Some people, they eat piles of canned tomatoes. You have to put up according to your eating habits and what you're actually going to use. It makes no sense. Y'all see them flies crawling around on the screen? Yeah. I'm going to have to spray something probably on there to keep the flies away from the phone. Anyway, it's like these pickles. I eat pickles ever so often. I don't eat a pile of pickles. So we don't pickle a pile of stuff. Same way with the tomatoes. I like to make stews out of them. But I make more salsa than I do canned tomatoes, and we eat more salsa. I'll put that salsa on tacos. We use it for chips and dip. I put it on peas occasionally. I mean, whatever. I eat way more salsa than I do canned tomatoes. I use canned tomatoes when I'm making a stew, and occasionally we'll make tomato soup and cornbread. So that's why I don't just can oodles of tomatoes. We really don't eat a lot of corn. Our biggest eating thing is peas and cornbread and butter beans and stuff like that. I can make a meal. Turnip greens is a go-to. So usually I grow greens all fall, peas all spring. We can eat good. Peas and butter beans in the South is what kept the South alive through the Depression. You could plant a field of peas and eat on them and eat on them and eat on them. Where corn is really not that. It don't have as many nutrients. You make good cornbread out of it. Cornmeal, it has a lot of good uses. Feed animals. But as far as you eating corn on the cob every day and being healthy, it passes right through you. You don't get a whole lot out of it. I'm going to leave it at that. So you know what? You see what I'm getting at. Be practical about your gardening. Plant things that. And I see all these gardening channels and they planting all these. Like me, I got all these cucumbers and squash, and I got a table sitting right here piled up with squash, which I have given most of the squash away. You can't hardly give a zucchini away. People won't hardly even take them. The cucumbers, they picky about cucumbers. If you give away cucumbers, well, what kind you got? Because most all they can do with them is pickle them. Well, there's very few of them that are good for pickling, depending on what kind of pickles you like. I like the deal spears more than I do these sliced pickles. I don't never put a pickle on a hamburger. If I put a pickle on a hamburger, it's a pickled jalapeno. I mean, I'm different than everybody, so I grow a lot of jalapenos. I'll eat way more jalapenos than I will cucumbers. And I'll fool around and drink that whole jar sitting right here till it gets hot. Anyway. Hello from Detroit. Detroit, Michigan. Reminds me of Jerry Reed singing, Lord, Mr. Ford, what have you done? He said, if you own one of them four-wheel buggies from Detroit City, well, then pay attention, son. I'm about to sing your song. Y'all, I like old Jerry Reed now. Local life, that catfish is an old catfish. I never expected to catch that catfish on a brush hog. I mean, I know they like live bait such as that, but a brush hog. But it has been done now. Well, 8 EMA, one of my goals in gardening is to give it away. I plant way more than I'd ever possibly eat in a lifetime. I mean, it'd take me 2 or 3 years to eat what I have planted right now. I plant for the purpose of sharing and giving away. I planted, I know I've got a whole row of squash. I never in my life can I eat that many squash because I have not lost a squash plant, not one, to squash borers. Granulated ain't poison is the answer to squash vine borers. It is just the way to do it. It is better than any natural, anything you pour out there. I mean, I've heard all kind of stuff. Stake them and put this and do this. Granulated ain't poison. Sprinkled around on the ground is not going to soak up into the fruit. The vine's not going to leach it up into your fruit. I don't care who told you that it would. It won't. And it will save your plants from dying. You won't lose a one. I've been doing this 5 or 6 years. I'm still here. I ain't got cancer. I ain't died from poisoning out of my fruit. I've eaten piles of my own squash. I've given them away to tons of people. They've eaten them. Nobody's got sick and died. And that I do it. I plant a lot of stuff so that I can give it away. That is one of my ways of helping the community, helping my church people, giving to whoever needs it. So there's a lot of elderly ladies around that's widowed. They don't grow a garden anymore, and they like squash. So that is my purpose for this. I don't ever want to get to a place that I can't give away stuff. So my thought process is different than other people's. I'm not greedy. I want to share. My heart wants to give people stuff. So that is my reason for doing it. But I understand what you're saying. Make use out of everything, and I agree with that. You need to use as much of everything as you can. It pains me to watch stuff waste, so I don't really waste anything. Any of the big stuff that we overlook, I don't purposely just don't pick it. But if stuff gets overlooked, you miss something, and you come back and it's too big, it's done got hard, it gets cut up, fed to the chickens as chicken feed. Nothing is actually wasted. So I know y'all seen me the other day throwing stuff out up in the yard. All that gets gathered up, totally to the chickens. That's why I throw it out of the garden and not just pick it off and lay it down right there. Growing peanuts, Grateful Ed. I ain't got no young'uns graduating. Jerry Clower said when he was a boy, said it was obligation that when you had a young'un graduating high school, you had to put on a peanut boiling. And he said the year he graduated, his mama planted, look at them flies, Lord hell. His mama planted 2 or 3 rows of peanuts. So we grew them one year back years and years ago. I have not grown peanuts in 10 years probably. Darlena, I have not studied on the carnivore diet. I did see some young lady the other day that was talking about some kind of a carnivore diet, but I really don't know. I've heard of all kind of diets that's supposed to battle inflammation. I personally, I think a lot of it is wishful thinking more than factual information. But now I don't know that. Because I've heard of people eating, I'm just gonna cut out all of this kind of stuff, and I don't know. I have inflammation. I think your best bet is to find a medicinal plant that'll help battle it and deal with it there. I want to tell y'all this. I am not a fan of extreme dieting of any kind, and let me tell you why. Every diet that you do that is extreme is temporary, and it has a side effect. Your body is designed to naturally take in a wide range of nutrients. And anytime you say, I'm going to cut all of these nutrients out all of a sudden, your body starts trying to adjust for that. And then all of a sudden, when you start taking them back in, it don't know what to do with them. And you get stuff out of whack that wasn't supposed to be out of whack. Now, we are eating a lot of stuff that wasn't naturally designed for our bodies. Sugars and processed stuff. I mean, we don't even know what we eat at this point for the most part. So, when I was weightlifting, that's been a long time ago. I ain't got no weightlifting body no more. My brother and his wife and my nephew were big into weightlifting. They got my dad going to the gym for a while, and I started going. Me and my wife went for 6 months. I had got in the tip-top best shape of my life. I was on a high-protein diet. I was putting on weight, and it was all muscle. There wasn't no fat on my body. I could get on a treadmill and jog a mile nonstop by the time we quit going to the gym. And I was in good shape. And then we quit doing that. I was eating high-protein, a lot of fish, several eggs at breakfast, and tuna fish for a snack with relish. We had cut out a lot of fat and stuff. We was grilling everything. We had the Blackstone. We was eating healthy, eating a lot of salads and stuff, but still eating a lot. I was on high protein. We was taking them high protein shakes. And when I quit that, it hurt my body big time. My stomach was in a mess for a while. So, be careful with any type of extreme dieting. If you're just looking to lose weight, starting to eat sensible is the best way. In other words, limit your sugar intake. Don't just completely go cold turkey and cut it out. Limit it. Quit drinking so much sweet tea and eating so many snack cakes, and then cut your meals down in quantity. Not what you're eating, but eat one plate full and stop. Things like this. And then it's not a diet. It has to become a way of life. Okay, this is the way I'm going to eat from now on. So if you make it something that you can deal with, you'll stay with it. If you make something extreme, like I'm cutting all of this stuff out of my life for this period of time, well, it's only going to last part of that period of time before you throw your hands up and be like, I ain't doing this no more. I mean, average human don't have that much willpower, in my opinion, to do it forever. We all get burnt out on it after a while and be like, I done had enough of this. I mean, I'm guilty of that. So that is my thought process with extreme dietings. As far as the inflammation and just eating meats, I don't know. It ain't something I would personally try, but I'm not gonna sit here and say it don't help, because I don't know. I'm not gonna try to tell you things that I don't know. Rodney Dunaway, yeah. Most of them is clickbait. It's to get you sold on some program to buy something usually, but that or either some YouTube channels wanting a bunch of attention, from some gimmicky something. It's like guns. Right now, everybody's got to have a 6.5 Creedmoor to deer hunt. Well, all that is I can't think of now off the top of my head what caliber it is. Is it a 280 or is it a 260? Something is old Remington caliber back years ago. Same gun, just they renamed it, and all of a sudden it's all the hype. Well, they quit shooting it years ago for a reason. I mean, they come out with better stuff since, but you know, because somebody pushed it online, and it became the new thing to do. Everybody went and bought one. And to sit here when we start talking about calibers of guns, where I live in the southeast, I can take a 22 rifle and kill anything that walks, crawls, swims, flies, whatever. They ain't a deer that you can't kill with a 22 rifle. You can't shoot him at 400 or 500 yards, mind you. But, you know, you're talking to an old boy that's filled a freezer up with a 22 rifle. I know what it'll kill. 17 HMR is more deadly than the 22. It will flat drop a deer in its tracks, provided the bullet's put in the right place. And that's the same way with any caliber. For those people that say here and say, oh, you can't kill a deer with a 6.5 Creedmoor. If you hit him right, you kill him with it. I mean, that's fact, Jack. It ain't about the caliber of gun. It's about the man that's holding it and looking down the barrel of it. And when you fix him, you'll kill every one that walks out in front of you. But I'm going to tell you, fixing that fella is a hard thing, because I'm still trying to fix him. Uncle Sasquatch could probably vouch for it. He's watched me learn black powder, and I still trying to work on this old boy right here about shooting. A 22 long rifle in artificial sunlight. Chris, I like the way you put that. I have never considered it artificial sunlight, but I like it. That'll stick with me. Yeah, 22 in artificial sunlight. That's the way to go right there. You put meat on the table with that. Oh, Lord, them days is behind me now. Flies is going to be, I don't know what them flies is typing, but they'll be done type. If they type something ugly on here, y'all, it wasn't me, it was them flies, all right? Butterbean, that 6.5 was designed to punch a hole in your wallet's what it was designed to punch. That's all there is to it. It will kill a deer to kill anything. It was designed, though, to punch a hole in your checking account. Oh. Butterbean, y'all look at that trajectory and compare the ballistics of a 6.5 Creedmoor to the equivalent in 7mm 08 and tell me what you think. The 708 is by far the flatter shooting, more accurate round. It's a heavier, more stable bullet. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. Uncle Sasquatch, I've walked in people's houses, and you could look at that old buck up on the wall and just tell that his eyes look wider than some of the rest of them, you know. You know which ones it is. Oh, Lord. I'm going to be honest with y'all, when we start talking about guns and weapons, I really don't attempt to try to just knock a caliber, because everybody likes something. You know what I mean? This person likes this person likes this. And I have a philosophy. You need to do things the way you like to do it, you know, and there's a reason for that. What makes you happy is what's important to you. And there ain't no reason for saying that any one caliber won't kill a whitetail. Because everything that I've got, and I like to shoot a little of this, that, and the other, and we all, especially us country boys, we like guns and knives, and we buy more than we need, and we ain't never got enough, and so these flies, y'all, is driving me crazy out here, lighting on my phone while I'm looking at it. I need to go in there and get me a fly swat's what I need to do. I'd kill some of these rascals. I can't even see my chat now. I got it all flip-flopped around. Well, sir, I had it fixed and messed it up again. There we go. I got it back. Mike Reeves, I don't know anything about new crappie regulations. Fill me in on that. Have not heard anything. Suzanne offered, I agree, I need to get me a citronella candle and put out here, if nothing else. I'll turn the bug zapper behind me on here in a minute. I seen Miss Mary popped on and left a comment. Hot tub, oh Lord. Larry, I concur. That flintlock rifle is a must-have nowadays. Uncle Sasquatch, you're only supposed to have one with a question mark? That's what I'm screaming. I don't never want to be stuck with just one. I'll tell y'all, one of my hardest decisions I have is when I'm fixing to go fishing, trying to figure out which pole I want to take. And usually I wind up with a wad of them. And when I go hunting, it ain't far from the same problem. I go, well, do I want to tote that, or do I want to tote this? Do I want to tote a shotgun today, or do I want to tote a 22, or what about the 17? Well, I ought to tote that 30-30. Well, I'd like to tote my muzzle loader. Well, and seriously, I have to sit there and have a debate with myself on which gun I want to tote. That's why the man that only had one gun was probably a better shot and kill more stuff, because he didn't have to sit there and do all that thinking. And then when I get to the woods and go to look down a barrel, and I go, now how did I aim? Was this a fine bead, or did I have a full bead, or... Y'all know what I'm talking about. Grateful Ed, if I had one of them salt guns, I'd have so much salt scattered around out here, it wouldn't be... Oh, Lord. Butterbean, you better be watching old Richard Gene, the fishing machine. He'll show you right where all them fishing holes are over there. He's catching crappie every time he goes over there at Wise Lake. I done seen him do it. So you better tune in to his channel, and he'll show you right where he's catching them and when. That's how you figure that out. Richard Gene, the fishing machine. We done with that, y'all. Stick a fork in it, it's done. I literally stuck a fork in it. Oh! Ricky Johnson, I was shooting that slingshot earlier. I got 3 different slingshots. I'm going to tell you, I ain't happy with none of them. I broke the one I made. The band popped loose at the strap. I retied it, and I ordered a couple of thousand of them clay ammunition. They explode when they hit something solid. I mean, they clay. But they'll kill stuff. I was like, well, this will be fun to shoot. They're biodegradable. I ain't got steel balls out here for the lawnmower to hit and rocks all over the yard. So that's why I bought them. And I have been shooting it. But the elastic band that I ordered ain't got the snap I want. Well, it came with a slingshot. Little bitty deal, got 2 bands on it. So I improved my slingshot and put 2 bands on it when I improved it. But it's still, I mean, it just ain't strong like I want it. The one that came with it is very strong, but it won't pull back but to about right there. And when it shoots, it ain't accurate. So I hadn't got good with any of them. Put a baby nipple on it. 10 per man and 25 for 3 in a boat. That's probably a good idea at this point. They fishing a lot of these lakes. I'm gonna tell y'all, Kemper Lake, Oak Tipi down here, I don't know how there's any fish left in it. It gets fished hard all spring. Now, ain't nobody fishing it. John Thomas says surgical tubing is what I have. That's what I ordered and built that one out of. But anyway. Oh. Oh, wow, you turned the temperature down to 100 on the hot tub. I was trying to sit here trying to figure out what you... I was talking about the weather. It's still nearly 100 right now. It's still 90-something degrees right now. Right now. I'm looking at the thermometer over there. It might be in the upper 80s. It is right at 90. It might be a hair below 90. No, Diane, I have not got down there. And the reason is I got to rebuild my target stand. I went down there to shoot it, and I'd forgot about my stand, had fell over, and it rotted, and it's all to pieces. So I got some scrap wood gathered up. I've got to rebuild me a stand to put down there to staple my targets to. That's why I ain't done that. But it's been too hot, honestly, to go down there and fool with it. I mean, it has been... This week it's been so hot I ain't want to be outside no more necessary. And what I've been outside, I've had stuff I had to do. So I really ain't had time to play. And when I did have time to play, I went fishing. So I'm getting slack in some of my stuff. I got too much stuff that I got to get done, is one thing. Yeah, Philip, don't stick your thumb up in there for a sight. That's a bad idea all the way around. A black tubing that was stronger. That Tater's suspenders is what it was. Yeah, that would be some good elastic now, them suspenders that Tater had on when he was riding that moped. Diana, they don't pay a lot of attention to the limits here either. I know a lot of them that they'll go catch them and take them to the truck and pour them in a cooler in the truck and go back out in the boat. You know, catch another limit, right? That limits. That's just how many you got in the boat at one given time. None of them don't pay no attention to that here either. Nancy's leg's doing good. Look at that fly. I mean, he just steadily won't land on my iPad. Brody's probably spilled. Brody been watching stuff on here. It's probably got ice cream and whatnot dipped all over it. Larry Alexander, I have heard of medicinal uses of the sweet bay magnolia. Actually, several magnolia trees that have similar properties. Michael called me the other day and was telling me about it, asked me about it. The sweet bay magnolia we have here, but we don't have it as much here as they do on the south part of the coast, and it's one of the more prolific ones. Several of the magnolias work, and I can't remember now exactly what all it was good for, but it had a lot of uses. Mark, glad you enjoying that knife. I have downsized some birds. My biggest thing is I have not raised a bunch of birds. I'm trying to hatch more Americanas. I don't know what I'm going to do with my game birds. I've had a few people ask about buying them, but I am not shipping birds, y'all. Number one, it's too hot to ship birds, but I have never tried to ship. People that's local around here buy them, but I've got 3 banties. They're white, solid white bantams that's got a little bit of game in them. And I wanted to get rid of them, and I put them up for sale, and people want you to give them away. They don't. I put a whole trio for $60 to start with, and I would have come down from that. It was just my starting price. And I never even got to come in to anybody even interested in them. So more than likely this fall, when I get ready to thin out chickens, I'll just go to killing them and cooking them. And I'm going to be done with it. I'm going to get down to my game where all I'm raising probably are one pen of Mac Rays, 1 pen of Grays, and 1 pen of that black I Am Samani, and then the rest of it's all going to be Americanos. I'm fixing to thin out some. I may keep 2 different. I've got 2 different Grays, and I may keep both of them, but I'm just sick of feeding chickens that I don't fight them. I just enjoy them, and it's got to where I got so much going on, I don't enjoy them no more. I like them, but I've got so much going on that I don't have time to take care of the chickens like they need to be took care of, and I need to get rid of them. But people want you to give them to them. They don't nobody want to buy them, and my cross roosters, I'll sell every one of them right now at $30 a piece. Good, strong roosters. Somebody wants to do something with them, but you know, as far as me wanting to ride around and meet people to give a chicken away, I ain't doing it. And I really ain't keen to inviting just whoever out here to my property to look at stuff. So that concludes that. I'll go meet people in town. I'll go do that kind of stuff, but I mean, I have invited some people to my house. Certain people I will. I mean, you get to trust some folks, but you can't just invite everybody out to your house. So these flies is driving me insane. He done got that fiberglass resin on his hands. Your hands be done got so hard you can't bend your fingers. I got a lot of sassafras growing right here in this fence row right behind this bed. I don't use a lot of it. I don't have a need for a lot of it, but it's I've got it. Mary Mullen is good for breaking up stuff in your lungs. If you got a bunch of mucus and stuff in there, it'll break it all up and get it out. Dave, Local Life said somebody they was working on a buddy's boat, one of his friends' boats or something, somebody's boat, and they was fiberglass and fixing something on it. He had told us that earlier. Mark, we run them catfish lines up in the spring. Now, I have not been to Tom Bigby to run lines at all this year, so me and Brody went and threw some jug lines out, but that was about it. I have not been over there and actually ran my long lines any this year. And it's the flatheads are spawning right now. Everybody's noodling them. Keith, yeah, that is exactly my point. The feed for chickens is high, which ours ain't that high, but it's just an expense. It's unnecessary. And it's not chicken feed so high, it's everything else is so high. Well, then when you got to turn around and buy chicken feed for something you just listen to crow in the mornings, it don't make good sense. So that's why I am downsizing. Cindy, every time I turn my sprinklers on for about 45 minutes, it'll rain within 6 hours. The other day I had to go out there and turn my sprinklers off because it was raining. Well, y'all, I'll be right back. I'm fixing to run in here and fill my coffee cup back up. That right there done got cold as a wedge. Y'all know about cold? Y'all say that? Cold as a wedge. Oh, Lord. Appalachian Explorer says, got you a good garden riddle. What garden-grown food do you throw away the outside, then cook the inside, then you eat the outside and throw away the inside? Gotta be corn on the cob. Gotta be corn on the cob. I'm guessing corn on the cob. I'll be right back with some fresh coffee. Not only did I come back with coffee, but I come back with me a fly flopper too. I tell you what, you flies better look in now. I got something for you now. Hey, you ain't gonna sit here and irritate me and get off scot-free. Now you might irritate me, but at least I can fight back. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. I got it, corn on the cob it was. Cindy said, Mississippi River, beware, stay off the river. What's up with the Mississippi River? I'm missing something here. Probably won't see a fly one now. I figure he'll land on that boot right there and I'll tear him up. Woo, that's hot. Alright, now fly where you is now. Come on back. I wish you would. Yeah. Alright. So, what questions have I missed that I didn't get answered? Somebody said, did I catch any pigs in a trap? No, Suzanne. Since I put the trap out, they come back the other day. Made one trip through the field, walked right by the trap, never even thought about going in it. So, I don't know. We'll just keep a trap down there where we can keep it baited along. The squirrels keep getting there and eating all the corn up. And you can't trap a squirrel in a trap that big. They'll set it off and hop right out the side. Hell, Square, that was a big old catfish. Oh, I see the question, Mark. Oh, can you eat an egg laying? You can eat any chicken. There are chickens that are better suited for eating. Let's put it that way. These game birds I fool with, if I had to kill one and eat it, they tough. You talking about hard to get where they fit to eat? I mean, they're just tough old birds. What the old timers used to do was they would hatch a bunch of chickens in the spring, early in the spring, and over at the end of the summer, when they was about half grown, they'd kill all the roosters and eat them. And they may not kill them at one whack, but they would kill one when the preacher come to eat dinner. And that's what they'd have for supper to feed the preacher. And so they would keep the hens, you know, to lay eggs. Now, if they had some old hens, sometimes they'd kill one of them. But something like that, you'd have to make dumplings out of. Something where you boiled it down real good and tenderized it. But Mississippi River is 2 feet above flood level. I had no idea. P-Row, you pushing barges? Cindy, I have not done much night fishing, but I'm seriously thinking about it. Because honestly, like you said, it's too hot right now to fish in the daytime. Here's my problem with night fishing. It's very hard to make videos at night, and then when you do, the bugs are so awful. I walked out here the other night to film that headlight video, and I mean the bugs like to beat me to death, hit me in the face. Standing by in New Orleans loading acid. Man, they gonna be a lot of folks tripping, ain't they? You loading a barge load of acid. My chickens, Mark, are really for my entertainment. I use the eggs. All we do is gather eggs. I got into fooling with them because I had just quit drinking and needed a hobby. I was not filming YouTube videos. I wasn't doing it, and I got into chickens and loved it. I just like the look of a big old rooster with them big tail feathers, and the game roosters were just beautiful. And I fell in love with them. So what I done is I rescued some from some guys that was fighting them that were getting out of it because they had busted a couple of the fighting rings here, and there was a bunch of folks kind of quitting and all that stuff, and it was illegal rings anyway. I don't fight chickens, never have. I ain't never been to a chicken fight in all my born days. I honest to God have not. A lot of people, they swear, oh, you just saying that, but I really don't. If you drove up here with a fighting bird and said it was tougher than mine, I ain't got no problem with pulling my bird out of the cage, and we'll throw him in the yard out here and see which one wins. But I am not tying a knife to one's foot and fighting him. That's just not my thing. If you want to do that, then have at it. This is America, and that's what it's about. If you want to do something, you go do it. As long as it ain't affecting me and my stuff, I don't care. I ain't got to like it. I ain't got to agree with it, but I ain't going to tell you you can't do it. You do what you want to do and knock yourself out. I don't care, you know. It's just a chicken. But that ain't my thing. Number one is because I really don't want my chicken killed, you know. If he loses, at least I get to go home and feed my bird if he just lost a fight. So that's just my thinking on it. And, but now I've got so many other hobbies going on. Going out there and feeding and fooling with chickens ain't my number one enjoyment now. So it's kind of one of them things. It was a phase you go, and we all got them phases we go through. Y'all, them flies seen me come out here with this fly flopper, and they left. I ain't seen a fly nowhere. Good. Colt and Trotter. Chris, yeah, they naturally fight. All of them. I literally got birds that if I put all the babies that hatch in a brooder coop together, before they are 6 weeks old, they killing each other. No joke. I mean, we talking about chickens this tall, they'll literally start culling each other. The rooster, they'll start fighting, and I don't know how many I've thrown out. So I quit doing that. If they hatch at the exact same time and you put them two or three together, you can kind of maintain that. But you can't put 6 or 7 babies together that they don't start fighting at some point. And then any time you let 2 that ain't been together for a while get together, they gonna go to fighting. My biggest problem with games is I can't even introduce new hens into the hen coop. If I put a fresh hen, like if I raised a bunch of babies and there's 2 or 3 of them hens, and I say I'm gonna put them in the big pen, let them lay eggs. Well, the big hens that's in there will kill the young ones every time. I mean, right within 24 hours they'll be dead. I do have a young one that survived because she killed one of the older hens this year. So yeah, they naturally gonna do it. It ain't like dogs where you teach them to fight and train them to fight. I mean, with chickens, a chicken trainer ain't doing nothing but trying to improve that chicken's health. As far as teaching that chicken how to fight, you ain't gonna do that. It's in him. He either wants to fight or he don't. And most of them want to fight. You let one get out of a pen and he'll go stand in front of another pen and they'll tear a hole in the wire, chicken wire, fighting through it. I done had that happen. Willie Sellers, where you been? We ain't seen you in a month of Sundays. We done give you up for croaked. Thought you done kicked the bucket or something. Miles Dozier in Western Arkansas, good to have you with us. Tied up like a hog. Mike is live. You talking about Mike Reed, Joe Douglas? I didn't see where he was going live. Wishing I was fishing. I feel you there. You know, Uncle Sasquatch, I was just thinking about old Tommy. He been skipping out on us a lot lately. We're going to have to scold him when he gets here. Old Tommy may be greasing his scooter up again. Mark, I have not fooled with rabbits. We got enough wild rabbits here. It ain't no problem. But I love to eat rabbits, but I don't eat as many of them as I used to. I don't know what happened to the rabbits around here. We've got a bunch of them, but there for a while they wasn't very many. In the last year or so, they starting to come back. So I'll probably go back to eating a good many rabbits. One thing, I thinned the foxes out, and last year I didn't trap any foxes, and I got one fox living across the road down here. I watch him occasionally. But y'all, I have got a yard full of squirrels. I told my mama the other day, I come driving in the driveway, and there was 6 squirrels right there at the end of my driveway, and on over in her yard there was 2 more big red squirrels. I mean, they just stay out there in the yard. So we eat supper with them the other night, and I said, well, Mama, I said, when squirrel season comes in, I said, I'm going to get me a chair and just sit down here under this oak tree. Boy, she looked at me for that. I laughed. I said, no, I ain't going to kill you squirrels. But there is a heap of squirrels down there right in my end of my driveway. They'll wind up run over in the road, I think. That's usually what happens. Yeah, y'all, I don't know where old Tommy is. He'll show up about 9:30 and be like, oh, I forgot about it. Didn't know you was going live tonight. I didn't make a Facebook post or a YouTube post. I've been busier than, like Uncle Sasquatch says, a one-armed paper hanger. They're down there working on some knife blades and odd and other stuff. What's wrong with your wife, Mr. Willie Sellers? I forgot. I think you may have told me previously, but I'm going to be honest with y'all. I got a lot of folks telling me stuff, and I can't remember who says what. If I don't have it wrote down, in fact, y'all, I got a notepad right here in case sometimes somebody will tell me, hey, check out this book or watch this show or this YouTube channel. And then when I walk away, I forget. I don't even know what in the world I was told. So I keep a notepad around where I can write something down. That's the only way I'll ever remember it. The only thing that the squirrels give me fits with right here, Keith, is the corn on the cob. And they have not got in my corn on the cob yet. Now, they eating on my daddy's over there, I think he said. But mine is just getting ready. I'm going to cut mine tomorrow, probably, and put it, depending on what happens with my wife tonight. I got to check on her when I get off of here. But I'm going to do my corn tomorrow, and I ain't had a problem. But usually if I have to trap squirrels this time of year, I normally live trap them and carry them off somewhere to turn them out, because as long as I can keep them going long enough to get my corn in, I don't care if they come back. And then I take them somewhere that I can go hunt them later, because I don't. If I kill them, I want to eat them. And y'all, I tried to tan a deer hide this week. Two of them. One of them I got it tanned, but I have got holes in all of them from the fleshing knife, and I didn't cut them. Just scraping it, I have tore holes in them, and I think it is because it is so hot that hide is getting too rotted staged inside that, making the hair slip. So I don't know. I have struggled. Gable Reeves, we've not planned anything for the 4th of July yet. I don't know what we're gonna do for it. 4th of July is mine and Michelle's wedding anniversary. We were gonna plan an event for our church. We normally do a fireworks shoot there. And being I'm in the men's ministry leading it now, I was going to have the men cook now. Well, I never got informed if we were going to have a fireworks shoot this year. At this point, nothing's been mentioned, so I'm assuming we're not. And so, I don't know what we're going to be doing 4th of July at this point. We may figure something out this coming week and put some, I don't know. We'll just have to see. Uncle Sasquatch, you had 3 little bucks in your yard. I don't mind watching a deer as long as they not eating my peas up. We usually have 1 or 2 that stay around right here, but I don't like for them to get up in the yard, because right now they'll eat up everything in the garden if they ever get started. Especially my peas is the main thing. But now I've noticed they eat a lot of my wild lettuce up, which I got more wild lettuce growing than I'll ever use, but I like to watch it grow. I don't like to watch a deer eat it up. So we've tried to keep them scared off, but so far we've had success with keeping them scared off. Yeah, Michigan Prepper, they know it. I ain't had one crawl on that screen yet since I come out here with this flopper. So long as I stand here and do this, they was landing on the screen right here on my iPad. Yeah, they know I got it. They done seen me with it before. They know what I'll do. Yes, sir. I'll put a knot on their head. The red-winged blackbirds get in the corn. We got birds. I've watched the one thing that gives me fits is the blue jays here. The blue jays will work on my fruit trees. So right now I'm watching my apple tree down there, and they just about to get where they gonna start getting ripe. I got a load of apples this year. And my wife is wanting to make fried apple pies and several apple things she's wanted to make. So we're trying to keep an eye on the apples. The next thing is I want to do the apple cider vinegar video. Last year I didn't really have enough apples to do that video. And I usually make some every year. In fact, I wanted to make like, I can't even think of now what you call it. There's some other stuff you make out of apples like that. I know what it was. I was going to use apple cider vinegar and make some fire cider is what I was going to do with it. Oh, Lord. David Russian, you had a shooting in Montgomery, a mass shooting. I have not heard about that, which I don't keep up with the news no whole lot. Have y'all heard about this in Montgomery, Alabama? Tommy Litchfield, was your ears burning and your nose itching? Is all I want to know. You sitting there rubbing them ears, wouldn't you? Tell me you was. Because you can scroll back and see where we done had a good conversation about you. Yep, Daniel, it is hot, probably from all the way across the southeast. Really, the whole United States is pretty warm right now. I done heard a lot of folks talking about it's pretty warm. Yep. But anyway, y'all, I was talking about a while ago, I tried to tan a deer hide, and I got 2 hides down there. One, I put it back in the freezer. I'm going to try to finish stretching tomorrow. I tanned it today. But it just got holes all in it. And then when I went to wringing it out, it ripped a big old hole in it, wringing it out. So something is happening to them hides. I don't know. Both of those 2 were given to me last year, so I don't know if they got laid out before. Usually that just makes a hair slip, which don't matter about the skin. You can still tan it. That's why I didn't worry about, telling them to take decent care of it. But I think it's so hot right now, me trying to do that pickle and make that hair slip, they rotten and are getting to something in this temperature. So I've got one more hide that I wanted to make buckskin. So the 2 that I done, I ain't even gonna get to use for my jacket. I was trying to get one to help finish my jacket out, and I ruined them with a flashing knife. I can skin a deer and not leave a mark on it skinning it. But I got through with that flashing knife, and it was in a mess. So I'm going to finish tanning it because I can use pieces of it, of the buckskin, for a whole lot of stuff. But I wanted one big solid one that didn't have holes all in it to work on my jacket with. So the jacket's on hold because I don't have enough buckskins to do what I need to do with it. Tommy, you tired from all the resting you've been doing? Watching the mercury go up and down in your thermometer? Give Al Gore some more money. I'm Willie's daughter. Willie who, Abigail? Oh, Sellers. Willie's, okay, I'm with you now. I figured it out. I got you. Took me a minute. I'm slow. Where'd Willie go? Willie vanished on us. I'm looking back. I ain't seen him. He told us his wife had multiple sclerosis, he thought, and that was the last we seen out of him. What did I miss? Well, you really ain't missed nothing, Tommy. We've been sitting here chit-chatting. I didn't cook nothing. I ain't done nothing but gripe about the... I just seen Roscoe cut out through the house. I don't know if somebody's here. Dog's barking. I figure my wife must be home. No, my daughter. Daughter comes strolling back in the door. Wife went to the hospital. She swore she was having a heart attack, so I don't know. I ain't heard nothing else out of her. Yeah, we griped about the flies, and the flies crawled all over the screen. I went and got this fly flopper, and I ain't got to swipe at one yet. They won't near one sit still. They know what this is. I done learned them good. Oh, y'all, there's a breeze blowing through here. Oh, that feels so wonderful. Gable Reeves, I have not had the war chicken out. I am threatening to go take it on a big bowfin fishing trip here. But it's so hot, I hate to go. I'm going to tell y'all what I've been threatening rigging up. I'm thinking about trying to get me one of them big umbrellas that goes, you know, in the middle of one of them tables. And I need to fix me a thing to stick it in on that boat. Well, when I get out there just fishing, I can stick it in there and have my umbrella to sit under. Only problem is I do a lot of this number, and I'll be hung my bait in it, so I don't know. Chris, it's so hot to lay out here, but now that hammock right there, that's an old cheap hammock off Amazon, and it is forever more comfortable. I have laid in it quite a good bit, but it's done got too hot to lay out here much. I like to go in there and lay up under that air conditioning, where I like to lay up. Butterbean Roscoe has got puppies, was born this week. 5 of them. There's 3 solid white ones. One looks just like him, and then one of them is colored up almost like a blue heeler. So if somebody hears this, I always get people asking about Roscoe puppies. We got Roscoe puppies right now. They are born this week. 4th, 5th, and 6th. Well, Willie Sellers, I am not envious of you. I took the boat out one time in my life on 4th of July weekend, said I'd never do it again. This year, I took it out to Smith Lake on Memorial Day weekend, won't ever make that mistake again. I did get my trolling motor fixed. Y'all seen where I broke the trolling motor off? I fixed that the other day and got it squared away. Chris, there ain't no blue heeler in these puppies. These are pure Roscoe, and the mama dog is a little bit smaller than Roscoe, and she's solid whitish yellow looking colored. Looks like a Chihuahua, but bigger, way about twice the size of a. She's smaller than Roscoe, but she's bigger than like my little black dog. There's old Jeffrey Gray decided he'd watch a little bit of Spirit of the Outdoors tonight. We will be celebrating 21 years of marriage to one another. I told her when we was married 20 years I was going to trade her in on 240, no, I told her when she turned 40, I was going to trade her in on 2 20-year-olds. So we got a few more years to go. She'll turn 40, I think, next year. She's a few years behind me. I turned 43 this year. Raymond Rogers. You want a puppy? Well, I can fix you up, my brother. I don't know what they're going to cost yet. I got to talk to the lady what actually owns the puppies, but they won't be high. I just need to know if you want a male or a female. I'll get some pictures of them. In fact, my wife has got pictures already. I don't have them. Willie Sellers, I figured out the easiest way to remember my anniversary. Y'all, it's a secret to this stuff. You got to think way ahead. As a young man, I was thinking ahead. I got married on the 4th of July. Lost my independence on Independence Day. But I knew I could remember that date. I knew I'd have a reminder every year. And I've been doggone last year. I was out there doing something at the chicken, working on a chicken pen or something, and my wife come out there about 3:30 in the afternoon. She said, "You know what today is?" I said, "Yes, the 4th of July." She said, "What else?" I said, "I don't have no idea." She said, "It's our anniversary." I said, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." So anyway. Yep, I made the 4th of July be one of them events where I like to stay at the house. That's like New Year's Eve. I usually celebrate that by snoring as loud as possible. 4th of July, I may go out here and shoot one of my muskets off up there one time, but that's about it. Bloom good, something each your tomato vine. They probably didn't get pollinated. May not have no bees or nothing around your area, Ricky Johnson. I don't know that, but, you know, it's a good guess. Uncle Sasquatch, old Roscoe gets so wound up sometimes. He looked like he was wound up like an 8-day clock. I mean, he did be cutting little dido, especially if you mention riding that buggy. Roscoe loves to ride that buggy. And I can say something about the word squirrel, and he does this. Me and him go, "Hey, let me tell y'all what Roscoe did today." I got to tell this on him. I seen him. I had my .22 rifle out. I said, "I'm going to walk down here and see if there's any of them turtles in the pond." I've been trying to put bait fish in this little old pond back here. And y'all, I don't like to kill all the turtles. Brody be wanting to catch turtles and look at turtles. And I don't mind turtles. But they eating my bait up out of there. So I got to keep them out of that pond. So I said, "I'm going to walk back there. And if I see any, I'm going to shoot at them." Well, anyway, I headed back there. One thing, I just needed to walk and talk, clear my head, and talk to the good Lord a few minutes, and walking around that rifle was a good enough excuse. And I seen Roscoe headed up toward the shed over yonder from the other end of the garden, so I was headed down this way. So I tiptoed real fast down there and got behind the end of that running bean row, and I looked at him, had his nose to the ground, son, and he followed every step I made and come running right up to my feet. Had no idea I wasn't moving a muscle. He tracked me down just like that. So I said, "I know you got it in you, son. When I kill a deer this year and it runs off, I stab him with an arrow and that bow." I said, "You gonna find him, because I know you can." So anyway, we're gonna try that this year. Appalachian Explorer says June 15th was our anniversary. I forgot, and good thing was she forgot too. Hey, when you both forget, it's all right. You know, stuff worrying about junk like that really ain't that important. You know, if that's what you're gonna fight about, you missing the whole point anyway, ain't it? Living in the outdoors, how are you? That is funny. Local life, we got over there to Smith Lake, and there's so many boats up and down through there. We kayaked early one morning, and it was beautiful and peaceful. And you could have fished a couple of hours early before the drunks got over the hangover. Now, once they got that hangover nursed with that hair of the dog, and you had to get out of the water because they went to making waves. I'm talking about it was so choppy. My God, that was a bird or a bat or something, wasn't it? Oh, it got so bad, it literally broke my trolling motor just easing around out there. It was just bouncing so hard the trolling motor literally broke off. So what I done is got out here the other day and fixed that rascal. You can get on, now mine is a Minn Kota, cheap trolling motor. I got the old $400 trolling motor, 45-pound thrust, ain't nothing fancy, just enough to do what I want to do. However, I think if a man had several $1,000s, instead of buying that live scope, a spot lock trolling motor would be money, in my opinion. But besides all that, I ordered the little plastic piece, and it wasn't nothing to them wires in there are plugged together. You unplug them, pull them little spool thing off with a wire wrapped around it, and I unswapped everything. It wasn't nothing to it. It didn't take me 15 minutes to fix it. So if any of that happens to y'all, don't throw your trolling motor away. It's a very simple fix. You get on Minn Kota's website, type in your model number, it'll pull it right up, and you can order you a whatever parts you need for that particular trolling motor. And they got it to me like lickety split. Y'all know how fast lickety split is? That's quick now. Living in outdoors, tell him I said thank you. He shares a really good name. Y'all, it's quite comfortable. Now, we got a breeze going. You see this sack right here moving? I mean, we have some cool breeze. I may need to go let the windows up in my truck. I see some clouds rolling in. I really don't think it was a bat. I think it was some kind of moth, actually. But either way, it was funny to call it a... Got you a tiller-style truck. You know what? I watched old Rich G and I thought, you know, that man really makes a lot of sense with that tiller trolling motor. And I'm going to tell you another one. A tiller steer boat makes more sense than a steering wheel. I'm finna do one of two things. I'm probably fixing to get rid of the skeeter boat at some point in life. I want me either a tiller steer aluminum boat that I can do everything with, or I want a center console big aluminum boat. Now I'm talking about big boat with a deck where I can do all my bass fishing on it. I can do my cat fishing in it. Everything in one boat. Instead of trying to take 2 or 3 different boats out to do everything I do. You see what I mean? I got a neighbor down here that has got a 50-horse Yamaha on I think it may be a Grizzly aluminum boat. I could probably get it. I don't know, I probably could trade him my boat for his boat. We just swap if he got it running. I like my boat, but you can't do nothing but bass fish and crappie fish out of it. You can't catfish with it. And a steering wheel, y'all, is just taking up a bunch of unnecessary room. They ain't nowhere I can't go with a tiller trolling motor because I ain't just joyriding anything. They ain't nothing that I can't do operating it with a tiller back there. Now, they may come a time in my life when I'm older where that ain't as practical. I'm really thinking I want a center console with a steering wheel and a canopy over it where I can get in and out of the shade when I want to. But now, them boats is high. Them boats is $15,000, $20,000. You know what I mean? And I know where one's at for sale right now, but it ain't big as what I want. Oh, duck hunting is good, Gable Reeves. I just hadn't duck hunted a whole lot. Number one, I'm by myself all the time, and what few ducks I hunt, I literally stalk. While I'm squirrel hunting with a shotgun walking up and down that creek, and I jump ducks up, I shoot them. I always buy duck stamps for that purpose, and I kill as many ducks as I want just walking up and down the creek. So anyway, Dave, I agree with you. That is really about what I'm looking for. If I could find one under $10,000, I'd be all over it. I'm thinking that is what I want. I want more than 16 foot long, David. I agree with I want at least 20 foot long because I want it to whether if I get a tag to go. I did not draw alligator tag this year, but if I draw one in the future that I got enough room to put alligator in the boat, I want to be able to haul all my bait tanks and stuff when I go to Tom Bigby. I want to have a huge bait tank in the boat, and I want a boat that'll carry that. The War Eagle has got a 25 horse Mercury on there, and it will not tote everything. It's not strong enough. So I want a big enough boat to do everything that I want to do. And it would be nice if it was able to go out into the ocean. My sister's got a house on the coast. I could carry it down there and put it in somewhere and do some saltwater fishing if I had a mind to. Jeffrey would have to show me what to do down there. I don't know what I need down there and what boats is feasible in that water and what ain't. Oh, I know I ain't taking my John boat down there and putting it in there. I got that much sense, but I know people that do that. Now it's possible, but I'm not gonna attempt it. Let's just leave it at that. I don't know enough about saltwater to know what you shouldn't do. I mean, you put a kayak in it and paddle around for crying out loud. You can about run anything in it, but you know some things more practical than others. David, Boston Whaler. I'm gonna tell you, David Russian, if they ain't nothing short of me. If I go saltwater fishing, I want to catch a shark. If I go down there, I'm gonna catch a shark or bust. That's what I want to catch. I mean, if you're gonna go for something, let's go for the meanest one they got. It's like grinnell fishing, you know. Let's get one that's got big teeth. One, if you stick your finger in his mouth, you're gonna draw back a nub. Jeffrey, my sister's got two 12-foot, one of them red kayaks you seen me in at Smith Lake that day. Them two sitting down there, I can go get them two kayaks anytime I want to with the coast. They not ideal for fishing, but they will work. Oh, now Hayes Davis took me down there in a Cadillac of kayaks, and we pedaled them things around and caught some fish, and that was a lot of fun. Well, Willie, I done heard you can eat them shark. Matter of fact, I have cooked shark. I had a buddy that caught one, brought it up here, and we fried it. I fried it just like I fry everything else. It was good now. Donna Hills invited everybody to a family fish fry in Arkansas. Y'all, it's up there. There's your fish fry. She done messed up now and invited folks to a fish. You don't invite rednecks to a free food. They'll be there. They'll go to any flavor of church for a free cooking. We lay all them denominations to the side if there's free food now. That's why dinner on the ground was popular back in the old days. That's how they grew a church. If you don't think dinner on the ground won't grow a church, you just start trying having a free dinner on the ground every Sunday and see if you don't pack a house out for long. Food will get them there. You can preach to them after they get there. Anyway, that's just a little tip for y'all trying to grow a church and don't know what you're doing. Gable Reeves, I want a new Havoc or Reaper boat. I want a used boat. That's the one I'm looking for. I want one that somebody's already put scratches on and got a little age on. Judy, email me. Y'all that are interested in puppies, send me an email or either message me on Facebook because I won't never find these comments or either know how to get a hold to you if I do have you a puppy. So email me some way or another or message me on Facebook. And I know there's 5 puppies. 3 solid white. 1 looks just like Roscoe. And 1 almost looks like a blue heeler. So, I don't know what's male female at this point. I can find out. Willie Sellers, find me a center console, 18 to 20 foot boat, at least 18 foot, no shorter than 18 whatsoever, not 1 centimeter shorter. But anyway, somewhere from 18 to 20 foot that I can afford, and it ain't got to be fancy. I'll fix it up like I want it once I get it. It just needs to be solid, heavy aluminum, center console. I'd love to have camouflage. Ain't got to be camouflage. I got paint. But good working order. I'd love to have a 4-stroke engine, but it is not absolutely necessary as long as it is a good engine that I ain't got to work on every time I turn around. Now, I realize you got to get it cranked and clean the carburetors and clean the pee-hole out on all of them, but we don't want one with no major something got to be tinkered on all the time. Appalachian Explorers, we do call Roscoe a feist. My wife worked at the vet and she told me that a feist is simply a small breed of dog. So feist is either Jack Russell, Rat Terrier, something like that. I don't know what all, these several different small breeds like that. He is not 100% purebred anything. Roscoe is mutt, but he is good mutt. Good squirrel dog, good genes, smart dog, intelligent, loyal, and I think all his puppies would make good dogs. The little female dog is a house dog up there. It's a good little dog. So, I can just email me if you're interested in puppies. We'll come up with a price on them and see what we can do. Tommy Litchfield's hilarious, y'all. Gable Reeves, I'm partial to 2-stroke smell, and I like to smell diesel fuel burning. So, I guess that's the old oil running through my veins. I don't know. My daddy worked in the oil field for years, so I reckon I like to smell it burn too, but they tell us it's killing us now. I don't know if I believe them or not. Appalachian Explorers, I don't know nothing about no papers. I mean, I can write on a piece of paper, but it ain't worth much. He ain't registered by no means. But now, I ain't never had a registered dog in my life, I don't reckon. A dog only worth what somebody would give you for it, which that's about that way with anything. So anyway, y'all, we're talking about fishing and boats. Y'all keep your eye out for a good used boat in the East Mississippi, West Alabama, possibly South Tennessee, Southwest Tennessee area. I don't mind driving a little ways for a decent boat with a good price. I've probably got to come up with some money. Need to sell my boat to make it all happen, but we ain't talking about something we're going to do like next week. But I am thinking I need a one boat fits all type deal, because right now I got 3 boats parked out here, y'all, which I'll always keep my little John boat because you need a swamp boat. And then the camouflage War Eagle will probably stay here because it actually belongs to my dad. It's up to him what he wants to do with it. It is not my boat, but my boat is the Skeeter boat, and I like it. It's a good running boat. I don't have no problems out of it, but it's good for just one thing, and I want a boat that I can go take one boat and do everything I do. And I want a boat that if I park it out here in the weather and leave it sitting untarped, that I ain't worried about the carpet rotting and the wood rotting out. You know what I mean? I want to eliminate all them problems. And I want one I can take and go hunting out of it. You know, if I go to bigger water like Tom Bigby and they got hunting areas up there, and if I want to go down to the Pearl River and hunt alligators, and if I want to go off somewhere and frog hunt out of it, if I want to go bow fishing, you know, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I can do with a little better setup. Especially if you got a center console with a canopy on it and you can put a light bar up there pointed down at the water, we'd open up a whole lot of doors for like bow fishing later, fishing videos at night, and might open up, you know, another world of videos for us is kind of my thought process. So I think it would benefit the channel as much as it would anything else. Tommy said raise them kittens and sell them to a Chinese restaurant and make some money. Tommy, you say that as a joke, but now I've eaten bobcat and it's quite good. I figure house cat ain't far from it. I ain't scared to eat no cat. Send me a picture of it, Jeffrey. Just got to remember, I'm going to be doing a lot of different stuff in it. I want a deck on the front of it where I can sit on it and fish and, you know, crappie. I like to sit there with my feet propped up and crappie fish, but I want to be able to take it, chase bowfin in like Ross Barnett, hunt alligators, catfish, Tom Bibby. I want to be able to run all my lines out of it. I want a boat I can absolutely do everything with. So that's probably going to be the next, if I don't have to fool around and buy a new buggy at some point in the middle of all of this. I don't like buying stuff. I don't like buying stuff, not one bit. It don't excite me. You know, I ain't seen the Book of Eli in a long time. I can't remember what all happened in there. David Rush, a bobcat is good. Real good. Oh, Diana Bowen didn't want us to see what she said. She wrote us a message and then said, I better not say that. That's the only thing I see when I see message retracted. I didn't even know you could retract a message. Well. Well, Gable Reeves, the motor size, it all depends on the boat. Big heavy boat, at least a 50 to 60 horse Yamaha on it. Which, I mean, a 50 to 60 horse anything. Most of them are running Yamahas. There's a lot of Mercuries out there. I don't have any familiarity with anything else. I ain't picky. I've got Yamahas and Mercuries here right now. So. Well, Tommy, I cooked this backstrap side this bobcat, and I'm going to tell you, it was fine. It was white meat once it was cooked, and it tastes just like some of that stuff you get up here at the Great Wall Chinese buffet that's in that dish on that second aisle over there. Anyway, it's about the same thing, I think. Well, Diana, you didn't have to correct that because we was giggling and gigging. But me and Lisa did go frog gigging. And I managed to pull off a decent video at night. I have made several decent videos at night, depending on what you're doing. If you can keep plenty lights going and the bugs are not horrible, you can do it. Like the other night, I walked out here and the bugs was hitting me in the face to all I was doing was this number right here the whole time. So if I can get the light off over here where I can feel, it's like camping videos. If you wind up trying to cook at night, I've got several camping videos where I cooked at night and the footage is horrible. I pulled it off, but anyway, we could probably do it. Yeah, me and Lisa, we was giggling that night because she missed the first several frogs, and I was just laughing at her. She finally, though, figured it out and caught some frogs. And I was going to go here pretty soon, but I'm going to tell y'all what's held me up. It's hard to get down there and drag a canoe around in there by yourself in them lily pads. And the John boat, the motor, where you pull crank it, ain't wanting to act right. Like, it don't catch and pull cranking. I was scared to get stranded out in there, and that, I don't know, it just, ain't nothing went real good. I about got it working right. Jason, I have got some infrared lights that go with night vision, but I don't have a camera. I do 90% of my filming with my iPhone. And that and the GoPro's all I got at the moment. I drowned in my other Nikon camera. I want to get me a mirrorless Nikon vlogging camera that I can take that's got some zoom to it to where I can get some decent zoom footage for this year hunting season. And I've got a Nikon camera I can use, but I have to carry this external battery pack with it all the time because it runs batteries down like super fast. It's one of them old Coolpix cheaper cameras, but it has a very good image quality. Sound's not real great on it, but if I'm just filming wildlife walking around, I'll play music over them clips anyway. And And Dave, you know, the next thing about getting a boat that size is we could hook an inner tube to it and drag Brody around in a lake somewhere too. Y'all got to think about these things. Y'all get on my Facebook and send me some links to some boats, pictures and such, so I can see what y'all talking about. Some of these boats y'all talking about I ain't never even heard of. David Russian, what is a Lafitte? How you say that? A Lafitte? Tommy Litchfield said he wasn't going to hit the like and subscribe. He didn't care what you said. Tommy, you the one that hits that thumbs down on all my videos, ain't you? There's somebody that they watch every video and hit thumbs down. There's always at least one that's going to be thumbs down on every video. They don't realize that they just giving me a view anyway, whether they like it or not. I done figured out it's Tommy. Tommy's the one doing it. Oh, go hit that thumbs down, Tommy. I promise you, it don't bother me. Because somebody's going to do it. I don't tiptoe around folks' feelings enough for them to not do it. I ain't put a trolling motor on a kayak, Daniel, but I've put one on a canoe before. All you got to do is clamp your 2x4 across there and nail your short 2x4 up and down over here on the side, and you can put that trolling motor right there beside you and Cadillac right on up the creek with it. Yes, sir, done that a time or two. In fact, some canoes you can literally just clamp the thing right there to the side and push the tiller handle around over to the side and take off. It'll go. My favorite brand of boat, I really can't say I have one. I'm not one of them like Ford and Chevrolet kind of folk. If I like the boat, I don't care. I'll tell you this, I got a buddy down the road that's got a nice G3. Big, wide boat just like what I would want. And then his brother has got I don't know what his is. It's some other name brand. And it's a good looking boat. Maybe a Grizzly or something like that. And all of them, they ain't a dime's worth of difference in any of them as far as what it will do and won't do. So, just minor stuff. I have not tried to do that to it, which my kayak is like a 10 foot, 9.5 foot. I don't even know how long it is. Maybe 8 foot. I ain't even really measured it. But it's one of them old sun dolphins, and I don't know if there's a place on there to clamp the thing. It may be. But it's so little, I didn't have nowhere to put the battery and all that junk. I hadn't tried it with the kayak, but the canoe, I have done it. No, Dinah, Michelle has not made it back. Ain't heard from her, which I'm filming with my phone, so I'm not able to call and check. So I don't have no idea about her condition. My daughter is here, and I don't know if she thought she was having a heart attack, so she went to the emergency room. I don't think she was. I think she's worried herself sick, but anyway, it ain't one of them things to worry about. I put it in the hands of the good Lord to let it roll. I'll check on her when I get off of here. Gray, you got you a show enough kayak this time, didn't you? Yeah, as far as a name brand on a boat, that really makes no difference to me at all. I ain't picky on that. I've got all three of my boats are different brands that's sitting out here. That's a Terry John boat and a Skeeter bass boat, and then the War Eagle aluminum fishing boat. And I really can't sit here and tell you I got a complaint with any of them, So I do want, and see, like me and Brody, I want to be able to, me and Brody, Lissy and Michelle get in it if we want to, and have room for bait tanks, coolers, everything you need. I'm one of them people, I carry too much tackle every time I go on the water. I can't do like old Richard Jean and take just what I'm going to fish with that day, because my thinking is, well, I got a chance to go fishing. If this ain't biting, well, I may want to try this. And if that don't bite, well, then I might want to try that, So, Michigan Prepper, she was complaining what sent her to the doctor is her arm was hurting or something. And she diagnosed herself with a heart attack before she left. I told her it wouldn't, but she didn't listen to me. She said doctor knew more than I would. She was going to go see what he said. So All I gotta say is if it's a heart attack or like finna have one, I'm glad she went on to the doctor and found out. But now if she comes back and the doctor says that there is nothing wrong with you and that you have no signs of nothing, you just overthinking this, I'm gonna call her Fred Sanford from now on. And every time I'm gonna do like this when she mentions it. So just know that's coming. Algernon, you can afford a bass boat. There is no doubt in my mind. You just have to want a bass boat. Cause I didn't give about $3,000 for mine back several years back. Well, I give $3,800 for it. Now, at that point in time, I had to get the motor running. No, the motor was running. I had to put a trolling motor on it. There was a couple odd and end things that I had to do to it, which was we had to put a water pump in it. That was the thing that I had to do. Other than that, I mean, so you can get a Uncle Sasquatch said I do that, I may get a trip to the ER. I may get to see how good them large frying pans are, Regan. Yeah. Gable Reeves, I always find a good deal on Marketplace right after I've spent my money on something else. Larry Alexander, I finally got her to make some videos on making them biscuits. So what I'm going to do is learn how to make them biscuits myself. I done about figured that out. If I could learn to make them biscuits myself, I could afford to get rid of her then. But the thing that worries me the most is she runs this pottery business, and if I lost her, I'm liable to have to go get a job, and I don't want to do that. I'd rather take a whooping than have to go get a job. That sounds like a true sorry individual saying that, though. I'm just going to tell y'all, there ain't no life working for other folks. That ain't. You can make a lot more money, yes, sir, and buy a lot nicer stuff, have a lot nicer, easier life, probably, but that whole week that you up there doing what somebody else tells you to do all week is misery. In the best case, it's misery. I struggle with people telling me what to do all day. I do. I'll just be honest with you. Diana, right now, about any motor costs more than the boat does. Twice what the boat does, if you want to know the truth. You get you any kind of a boat and you call and say, hey, how much is a new motor like this one? And your eyes will get this big around and your heart will stop for a second or two. Usually it'll start back up. Might not, I don't know. But it'll shock you good. Gable Reeves, I really prefer the canoe with a paddle, if you want my honest opinion. But when you're trying to film, the bigger, one thing I'm going to tell y'all about bigger boat, when you're trying to film, you got more angles to set this camera up. It's like y'all watching me and Brody pulling them catfish jugs up, and I can only put that camera at the back of the boat, and Brody's between the camera and what's going on, and you can't see around him. That's the problem of small boat and filming. small boat and fishing is no problem at all. I can sit on the front of a John boat and do all the fishing I want to do, honest to God. But in the business of filming, you need bigger room, more. I mean, when you start filming, it takes more room and more gear. That's all there is to it. So that is one of the big issues I have. I want to be able to set up to do better filming on it. I would love at some point to have somebody film for me while I'm doing everything and they handling the camera. But you know that's way in the future. When I get Brody where he can do everything and I can just sit back and film Brody doing everything, we'll be in the money then. Because I enjoy the filming myself. But I like to talk a lot too. Yeah, I watched an old boy up yonder in Michigan, or no, in Illinois, build his own boat. Y'all probably know, I can't even call his name, the little old trapper boy up there. He talks through his nose like this all the time, and does it about every time whatever he's talking, he's steadily doing that. I had to quit watching him. I couldn't handle that no more. He couldn't help it, I don't reckon, but it drove me nuts. Yeah, Uncle Sasquatch, I've always had to curse that I wasn't afraid of a whooping. I've had a few in my life too. The biscuit embargo hits. Oh. Philip would call that the gift of gab. Well, there is Fred Sanford herself has done commented. Yep, we're going to change her name now. Darling, I am glad to know that you're all right. Since you are watching Coon Creek Outdoors, Dave, that would be him. Yep, I couldn't remember what the name of the boys' channel was, and I learned a lot of trapping stuff from him, but I just got what couldn't deal with all those sinus issues he was having. I wanted to send him some medicine, but he wouldn't take it. Fred G. Sanford. Yeah, that's the part I'm worried about. It's that bill we gonna have from her fake heart attack. Rodney done away it was recorded, so there wasn't no way that we was gonna get off scot-free. But you know, when you're too ignorant to know any better, you shoot your mouth off anyway. You know, Raymond Rogers, I always heard it was $100 a horse up until about 4 or 5 years ago, and I think you're right, it's done went to about $200 a horse. But used to, it was like back up until the late 90s into the mid, I will say 2010, it was about $100 a horse for a boat motor. And now, yeah, I'm adding. Ford, Kentucky. Lord, Lord, Lord. Daniel Rupert, we don't do politics here. I really don't care nothing about it myself. It don't excite me. I know some of y'all love it. I'm more power to you. I'm gonna let y'all try to talk me into voting this year. That's what y'all got to work on. Y'all gonna have to talk me into voting, because I don't know that it's going to make 10 cents worth of difference. I don't like politicians. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like nobody in Washington telling me what I ought to do with my life. That's what I don't like. And to get wound up fighting mad, arguing over a politician, these people that's literally mad at each other over politicians that don't even know their name. Now think about it for a moment, will you, please? All right, now we can all get back to reality. Yeah, Daniel, we don't do politics. Yeah, Lord. Vote for David Russian. What you running for or running from? I think that's what them politicians up there in Washington, they not running for an office, they running from something. That's why they up there. Lord. 90-horse Yamaha. Is it 4-stroke? Is it a 4-stroke? JL327. Rodney Dunaway, I'm with you right there now. Vote Jesus Christ. He's the only one gonna change anything. He's got my vote every time, all day. Yes, sir. At 90-horse Yamaha, I bet it was more than 15,000. I don't know. Let me think him for a moment. 90-horse Yamaha. Was it 4-stroke? I'm sure it was 4-stroke. Had to been. This day and age, everybody wants 4-stroke if they buy it new. I mean, you don't have to fool with oil and all. And a lot quieter. If you filming, that's important. In case y'all didn't know. All day. Tommy Litchfield, please tell me they didn't seriously talk about golfing at the presidential debate. Tell me you joking. I didn't watch a mess. Tell me they didn't start talking about golfing at the presidential debate. Neither one of them. Please tell me this is true. Lord help. Y'all, I'm gonna break the rule for just a second. Let me tell y'all something about politics. Y'all know that whoever y'all vote for ain't who's running this country, right? Y'all do understand that. They just a spokesman for the group. They really not in charge of nothing. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm pretty sure of this fact. I'm pretty sure after the last 8 years of presidential stuff, I'm pretty sure the person up there that we look at does all talking. He's just the puppet on the string. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And I don't think it matters which side you put in office. I think a ball keeps rolling the same direction. And that's, like Merle Haggard said, that's downhill. And it's a snowball headed to somewhere we ain't wanting to go. I'm pretty sure I'm correct on this. So anyway, that's enough of that. I'm done with politics. We on to something else. Let's talk about our fishing boats. Lord. This whole deal, this shit ain't nothing but a circus. Nothing but a circus. When the fig's going to be ready, I am struggling with my figs. Y'all, my fig tree that has been right here, I bragged on it last year. I cut that joker down to a nub bit, put back out, loaded up with figs in 1 year. I was like, man, y'all look at this fig tree, this thing's money. It's got figs on it now this year, but y'all, it ain't hardly growing. It is still about the same height. And I had to cut like 2 limbs out of it that died again. I don't know what's going on with it. It's got a few figs on it, but they all little bitty, which it ain't time for us to start picking figs yet. And a fig is my favorite thing to go out there, pull off, and eat. I mean, hands down, bar none, fig number one. Fig is my favorite thing to just stand there. I can stand there at that tree and eat every fig on it, just about it, because it's a smaller tree now. When my daddy dug them 2 up that died down there, them was huge trees. Now, they're both out yonder, and they are about head high now. So I'm ready for figs. I'm gonna have enough for me out of 3 trees, but y'all I don't know. I'm gonna have some grapes this year for the first time. Now, Brody will beat me to them. And y'all believe the blackberries, after that big rain the other day, they finally started sweetening up after the vines started dying. And I still got some pretty good sized blackberries out there. Well, I done got my screen all wonky jawed, you know. There it is. There it is. Put some fish heads in the ground. Well, I'm going to tell y'all, John, that fig tree, I got them right next to my chicken coops so that the roots will go down under them chicken coops and let the chickens do a lot of fertilizing to them. And that is why it has done so well so far. So, I don't know. I may try to put some fish heads around it, but they stink right there. It's too close to the house to put a lot of fish heads. We'll try it. Green lima beans. Larry Alexander, we call them butter beans, but I quit planting them because I couldn't get the running ones to do. I do have some big ones planted that are running beans, but we'll see what they do. I hadn't had good luck this year with some of my beans. I don't know, it's not been a good year for beans for whatever reason. Fig trees is, everybody needs a fig tree. Fig is a Bible food. My daddy said, son, eat Bible foods, they're good for you. So, what in the world was that? I may have to go roll the windows up in my truck if it starts raining. Lord, y'all, it's 9:30 already. Mama used strawberry jello or something with figs, made some fine strawberry figs. Yeah, my aunt put strawberry something in her figs and turned it red. It was pretty good. But we just do the regular fig preserves. And I have canned figs in corn syrup. Just got, so I can make a fig cobbler. Oh, I hadn't done that, but. Daniel, I'm going to tell you, if you start relying on alcohol to numb problems, it's kind of a fool's errand. I've done it for a lot of years. You get a temporary relief from reality, but it don't solve nothing. You got to wake up tomorrow and it resets everything. You got to start slam over. And a drunk don't never accomplish nothing. He stays stagnant in one spot all the time he's drinking. I worked and paid my bills, but my life never prospered. Just know alcohol is robbing you every time. It takes a little while to get past it, but now I'm going to tell you, God delivered me from it, and he will deliver you if you sit down and say, you know what, Lord, I'm done with this life. I'm done with this man. I want you to take a desire. Let him fill you with the Spirit. I'm talking about to the point of speaking in tongues. Have that experience, and I promise you it'll break them chains of addiction. I don't push the speaking in tongues because of this denomination or this and arguing over religion and who can go to heaven and who can't and all that stuff. I'm telling you from experience, that is the secret to breaking these chains of addictions and spirits that bind y'all. That's the secret. Have that experience. Get in a closet and pray until you have that experience, and then walk away after you've had it and say, you know, I'll then make your mind up whether you think it's real or not or important. Don't argue about it until you've had it. And then once you've had it, then you can say, well, you know, I don't think that's as much to that as they said or whatever. Then you can have an opinion on it. I've had the experience. I'm telling you, it's the secret. It's what you've been deceived about all this time. The reason that you don't have spiritual power in your life. I'm telling you. I'm firm on that, okay? I'm not wishy-washy on this. I'm not, well, I think this, I read about it. While I'm on this soapbox, I'm going to stay on it for a minute, all right? Y'all look up here at me a minute. I'm going to tell y'all what, y'all come here where you can hear me real good, loud, and clear, okay? I got some medicinal plant books. I got a bunch of them. I read about these plants that would heal inflammation in your elbow. Read about all these plants that, man, they'll heal this, they'll heal that. And I have read them over and over and over. I believe everything it says in there. But my elbow's still hurting. My elbow ain't stopped hurting yet. I read it again. And you know what? My elbow ain't going to quit hurting until I go find the plant, harvest the plant, make a medicine out of the plant, and consume that medicine. And consume it over and over, probably for a couple of weeks before it really does me any good. The Bible's the same way. You can read it day after day after day, and you talk to the Lord about it. Say, Lord, I believe everything in this book. But until you start applying what you read to your life, it ain't going to do a whole lot of good. Y'all, am I getting through to you? I hear a lot of people talking about religion and believing. And you know what? I read this medicinal plant book. I believe what it says. But when I believe what it says, I got to go do then the reason I believe it, that is, you know, I believe this stuff is real. I believe medicinal plants will work for me. I still got to go harvest the plant and make medicine out of it. Now, y'all let that soak in to your brain and think about these things logically, practically, okay? And when I tell you, you want to have this tongue-talking experience because that's where it's at. That is the chain-breaking thing. That is what he preached about, Jesus, to them in Acts 1 and 8. He said, you shall receive power after that the Holy Ghost has come upon you. And that's what he told them. And I realize there's a whole lot of other scriptures in the Bible, and you have to take all of these scriptures and put them all together. Scripture don't contradict other scripture, okay? Scripture backs up other scripture. So if there's one scripture that talks about this tongue-talking experience, you're not going to go find another scripture that denounces it, okay? So when Paul talked about don't speak in tongues in the church unless you got an interpreter, there's different types of tongues. There's the gift of tongues. There's the evidence of the Holy Ghost tongues. There's there's another one. The gift of tongues. There's tongues and interpretation, which is what goes forth in the church and then somebody interprets it. The gift of tongues is when this person don't know my language and all of a sudden the Spirit comes upon me and I can just start speaking a language that I have not learned, and it is the language that this person knows. That is done through the Spirit. It is not something you've learned or whatever. There's people that have this gift. But everybody should speak in tongues as the evidence of the Holy Ghost, because that is what happened on the day of Pentecost when the Spirit was poured out. And they all experienced this, and it says, and they all spoke with other tongues as the Spirit gave the utterance. So when you understand that there is different types of tongues, everybody prays for healing. But there are people that have the gift of healing. That is a gift in the Bible. So when you're sick, you don't have to try to find somebody with the gift of healing to pray over your need so that you can be healed. You can get anybody to pray for you, and if you believe and have faith, you can be healed. The Bible says, and you shall lay hands on the sick and they shall recover. But they are people that also have the gift of healing, that when they pray for people, they're just healed. They have this gift from God. So understand that there's different manifestations of the same thing in different ways. So when Paul talked about don't speak in tongues in church unless you have an interpreter, is because they were people that thought they looked more holier than thou when they took over a church service and stood up in front of everybody and just talked in tongues so that they looked spiritual. And Paul said, don't do this because you're not helping nobody. You need to tell them things they can understand. Now, that don't mean it's wrong to speak in tongues in church, because if you over here minding your own business and you praying and the Holy Ghost comes on you and you speaking in tongues is the evidence of the Spirit being poured into you, whether it's the first time you ever had it or it's a blessing God's pouring into you, because I've had it happen multiple times when God took me out of a valley I was in onto a mountaintop and I overcome a battle and he poured into me. So I stood there and spoke in tongues and trembled and shook and all this kind of stuff. It happens multiple times throughout your life. It don't mean you got to speak in tongues every time you pray. But this is an experience that when it happens, chains in your life are broken. Because your spirit is communicating directly to God and you have no idea what you're saying. But your faith is strong enough to allow your spirit to speak through your body. And that is why it is important to do this. So Paul said, don't just stand up there speaking in tongues for everybody to hear to look holier than thou. If you don't have an interpreter, that's when you're talking to a whole church and you're shutting down a service to speak in tongues. There is a such thing as tongues and interpretation. Somebody will speak out, the church will go quiet. Somebody will speak in tongues very loudly and the whole church will stop everything that's going on and listen. And then all of a sudden, if it happens more than 3 times, 3 different people or one person 3 different times speak in tongues and there's no interpretation, it's time to move on with the church service and do something else, because there's somebody either not willing to obey the Holy Ghost to allow the interpretation to go forth, or either somebody is putting on. And yes, there is a such thing as somebody faking speaking in tongues. If there's something real, there's always something counterfeit. There's possibly somebody that's going to fake it. So no, every time somebody spoke in tongues, it probably ain't always been real in the spirit. But that don't mean that it don't happen and it ain't real sometimes. So, y'all, I push this because I'm telling you, we have been sold short of it across the whole board of Christianity for years. And we've not been understood how powerful this experience really is and what it really does for you. And I'm telling you from experience, you want to have this experience. I ain't telling you about whether you go into heaven or hell and all this. I'm just saying you want to have this experience. It's from God and it's a good thing. It's like cake and ice cream. You want it, okay? And that's where I'm going to stop with that. I wanted to explain it in detail enough for folks to get a hold to it. Because people are you know, they say, oh, you saying you got to do this to get to heaven. I don't know what you got to do to get into heaven. I ain't got there yet. I ain't heard the Lord say, you know what, you coming in because you did this. We all read the same Bible. You've read the same things I've read. But I can tell you from experience, I've had this experience and it's good for you. And you want to have it, okay? Jeffrey Gray said, I wonder if tongues is actually how the Hebrew language was spoken. You know, I can't answer that. What I teach and speak from are from personal experience and from the spirit inside of me that tells me and leads me. And it has always led me right. And from my experience, I tell you this. I tell y'all an example. There was a service going on. They were broadcasting live on Facebook. And in the point of this service, somebody felt the Spirit and started speaking in tongues very loudly. And the service was going on. It did not shut the service down. They were close to the audio for the camera, and the cameras picked it up. It broadcasted through the live stream, and Facebook blocked the video and gave them a copyright infringement. And the reason is they were speaking and singing a copyrighted song in a foreign language that they had no idea what was, and it was not Hebrew, but it was a song, and it was accurate enough that it picked up the copyright infringement. So that's how real tongues are. And that happened in the last 3 or 4 years. I don't remember exactly when or where, but it is a real happening. Jerome Smith said, what is the sound in the background? It is some kind of June bugs or something. Katie did. Cicadas, probably. I'm sure there's some frogs, but... yeah, I'm hearing a lot of tree frogs. I tune it out. I'm so used to it. Y'all, I don't hear all this. I mean, I hear it, but it don't register. Y'all, with the tongues, when I have spoken in tongues, it ain't something I do on a regular basis. Paul wrote that I speak in tongues more than you all. But tongues is one of those things that in prayer, you get to this place while you're worshiping God and telling God how wonderful He is and how good He's been to you, and you thanking Him, and whatever your worship scenario is, that your mouth starts quivering and you feel this feeling down. It's hard to explain what you feel inside of you. It's like pressure building up that just wants to bust out of you. But it's trying to come through your mouth, and you're trying to speak what's on your brain, but your tongue starts, I don't know, like you getting tongue-tied, and you keep messing up your words, you're confused. And when you relax your mind and relax your control of your mouth, all of a sudden your tongue will just start crisply speaking words. It'll be coming out of your heart and your mouth that's out of your spirit, and you'll be saying them like you just all of a sudden you start talking in this language that you don't know. And you're not just making up gibberish. Your mind will tell you you're just making up gibberish, but it is too precise and clear for it to be that. And all of a sudden, when you do that, it takes control, and you will absolutely zone out like you don't have no idea what's going on nowhere around you. And the feeling that happens inside of you is joy unspeakable. I mean, one writer wrote that it's like fire shut up in my bones. That's in the Bible. And this feeling comes out, it just pours out of you. And I don't really know exactly how to explain it. So it's not like, I sit back and just make up words and say them. It literally is like something that it's trying to say itself, and you're holding it back. So what you've done is you've had enough faith to allow your spirit to speak through your mouth things you don't know. That's why I'm able to sit down on a tailgate and preach to you things that I don't know what you're going through, but I can preach knowing that this is what God put in my heart to tell you, and allow my mouth to speak things that I don't really understand and know and smart enough to know everything I need to say, but God knows the precise words to come out of my mouth that is what you're dealing with. And that is what the calling and the anointing is in preaching. There's a lot of men that just put together some sermon and they recite it in front of a mirror, and then they get up in the pulpit and try to recite it again. And everybody sits there like this and just listens to it and go, you know, he done a good job on that. And that's about far as it goes. And it don't never really help nobody. Their life is the same mess next week as it was this week. And the week after that and the week after that. And that's why so many people walked away from religion and said, you know what, God ain't even real. Because they ain't seen nothing real. But if you ever have what I'm telling you about, there'll never be a doubt in your mind that God's real. That's why y'all tonight, I really ain't been too excited about my wife going down there to get checked up about having a heart attack, and I can kind of joke about it because I done talked to the Lord about this. I done had prayer several times this week about this, but I have no control over her walk with God and her spirit and her mind and what she needs. She went down there and found out for herself that there ain't nothing wrong with her. I done talked to God and dealt with this, okay? And when you've got that kind of walk with God and that kind of faith, you know God's in control. And there's power in things. We'll talk a little more about it in just in time. Y'all will get a good lesson. I've been fired up about this for a week. That's why a little of it slipped out tonight. Katie Dead's in the background. It is. Y'all, one thing I can tell y'all, y'all know something is real when off the cuff you can just talk about it. Y'all, a lot of these YouTube channels is a lot of fake. Somebody sat down and wrote a bunch of stuff up and recited it and about like that preaching I was just talking about. And that stuff ain't real and it ain't worth a flip. When somebody knows something, I'll tell you this, the difference between knowledge and wisdom. This is a good one right here. I come up with this one all by myself. The difference between knowledge and wisdom is knowledge is learned. Knowledge is, I sit down with a book. Knowledge is, my medicinal plants is knowledge, a lot of it. Because I sat down and read it out of a book. I studied it. Same way with the Bible. I read a lot of it. I studied it. But wisdom is, okay, I have took this plant. I have went and used it, made a medicine out of it, took it and seen it work or didn't work. That's wisdom. Wisdom comes from life experiences. That's why old men are a lot wiser than young men. That's why what they call the spirit of Rehoboam is he would not hearken unto the words of the old wise men, and he hearkened to the words of the young men. And him and Jeroboam went bad array because they wouldn't listen to the old wisdom that was passed down. They wanted to run with the new wild ideas, and they thought the young men were smarter than the old men. Young men will never be smarter than old men. Young men can be smart. Young men can present some new ideas, and they come up with some good stuff from time to time. But a young man that'll sit down and listen to an old man tell him how to do some things and learn some stuff from an old wise hand is way further ahead than the young people that's just building on young wisdom. Young knowledge, not young wisdom, young knowledge. Intelligence is never a good substitute for wisdom. Because wisdom is from, I've tried this, I know the result of it, I can tell you for sure what's going to happen when you do this. That's wisdom. Knowledge is, well, you know, I come up with this idea and I think if I do this, I think this will happen. But I don't really know if it will or not. We're going to have to try it to see. That's knowledge. You know, you read about that. I heard it work. All right, all right. YouTube done put a warning in the chat. Let them put a warning. They can demonetize my channel for all I care. Some of the videos anyway. I hear people worried about copyright infringement. I ain't in it for the money. I mean, right now I make a little extra money off of it alone, but then you can't live off of it. if I want to say something, I'm gonna say it if it's the truth. And if YouTube don't like it, they just have to get over it. They demonetize that video. I don't care. So where do you see this warning in the chat? I ain't seen it. I want to see it. Or are you just joking? They really put a warning. Oh Lord, it won't surprise me none. They don't like Jesus, I can tell you that. If y'all want to know what's going on in all your politics and all your world events and all that stuff, it's a battle between good and evil. And that's all it is. Gable Reeves, I tell you, my daddy has imparted some of the greatest wisdom upon me that anybody, and he told me several things, and I posted them in some of my Father's Day posts. He said, son, you'll never make a living. He said, you learn to live off what you make. He said, it don't matter if you start making $2,000 a week. He said, you'll wind up spending every bit of it. And that's true for the most part. Unless you're really diligent about, hey, I'm in this money-saving Dave Ramsey program. I'm going to put all my money in a hole so one day I can be a millionaire and solve all my own problems. Oh, the next thing is he said, son, take a short end of the stick because that's usually the best end. In other words, when somebody does you wrong, you just go on about it, mind your business, and take it. He said, it'll usually work out for the best. He told me, he said, always do the right thing. He said, because that's the right thing to do. And here's another good one for y'all. He said, if you'll give a man an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, you'll always have work to do. You won't never be without work. And I found that to be true. A lot of wisdom. A lot of wisdom. But, you know, learning how to manage money and stuff is a hard thing for most people. Because in the day and age we live, we're taught to, you know, go bank, borrow money when you get ready for a vehicle, or go, finance everything. And, you know, a lot of us, we wouldn't have nothing if we didn't finance. But when I built this house, I took my time. I said, you know what? I've got a place to live right now. I'm going to build me a house out here. And I just went to buying stuff and putting it together. And I worked on it a little at a time, save up money and work on it a little at a time. I didn't have no bills. I didn't have a house payment then. I didn't have a lot of bills to pay. And we were able to do this. We didn't have no vehicle payments at the time, and we had absolutely no bills. One light bill, one water bill, and 2 phone bills, and that was it. And we saved up, built a house, and it's paid for. And, you know, when you learn that if I'll save my money and buy something and not be making payment, you save all that interest, your money ahead in the long run. So, you know, there's some Dave Ramsey points that are good. The thing about Dave Ramsey that I disagree with is the biblical standpoint behind it. It's not good to try to save up enough money that I can put my trust in my money to solve my future problems. Because I promise you, if you cross God and God decides I want to take your money from you, he'll take it all in one fatal swoop. You'll have more medical bills than you can pay, and there won't be a thing you can do to stop it. He can suck your checking account dry before you can spit. So, saying that I'm going to save up enough money that I can handle all my own problems is a myth. That's a dream that won't never happen. Don't put your trust in money. Now, I ain't saying blow it all. If you want to stick some money back for a rainy day, by all means. But don't think you're going to save up enough money to one day you're going to be this millionaire and where you can just, you know, not do nothing. It won't never happen. It don't work that way. You notice Dave Ramsey's still working, making money, don't you? Yeah. he ain't putting all his money back either. He got some $1 million buildings and stuff. He brags about it occasionally while he's telling you not to buy you a vehicle. You know, I mean, don't go buy a new vehicle every time you turn around just because your neighbor's got a new one. But, I mean, if you need a vehicle, you better off to buy a brand new one than an old used wore out one. Because, you know, I mean, if you got the money to pay for one, buy what you can afford and pay cash for and be done with it. But if you can't, if you got to finance it, don't buy used. Go finance a brand new one if you're going to do it. Daniel Rupert, we already cashless, son. I very seldom use a cash dollar, and I'll tell you why. If you tote cash, when you walk out of Walmart, you forced with a decision to have to lie to somebody or hand them part of it. Because you ain't never going to come out of Walmart that there ain't somebody standing there begging for a handout. They may have a table set up there, you know, like, oh, donate to this cause. And you got to look at them and go, hell, I ain't got it today. Knowing good and well, you got a $100 bill in your pocket you can handle. So you know what? If you put it on plastic and don't tote nothing but the plastic card, you can look at them and go, all I got's a card. Walk on the car. I don't mind helping people, but now them folks that's trying to raise money could do something to raise, make them wash cars or something to put forth a little effort. That's standing there with just your hand out. That don't do much to me. But now if the Lord tells me to give to somebody, I don't care if they smoking a joint right there or whatever. I mean, if the Lord says you need to help them, I'm going to help them. But everybody standing there begging ain't in need. That's my philosophy about that. So I've been cashless for a long time. I get all my money through PayPal, direct deposit. We get a check, it goes straight in the bank. I mean, if I took cash, it's $20 or $30, and that's about it. And it's for going to a yard sale or something, you know. I very seldom have any cash. There you go, Jeffrey. Just tell them I ain't giving it to you. You know, that's what you got to do. My problem is, I guess my heart's too big. I hate to look at somebody right in the eye and go, I ain't helping you. Oh, no. But Daniel, you had a rare occasion. Because if I walk out of Frank Tanks or Walmart, they got somebody standing out there and they're about every time going, oh. In fact, me and Lisa come through town yesterday and they was at the red light, all had on matching shirts. There's a bug, that ain't a fly, but I got him. Oh. And they was standing out there stopping people at the red light with a bucket trying to collect money. I said, well, I told my daughter, I said, I ain't helping them because the first thing, they all went and bought all them matching t-shirts. They could have put that in the kit if they'd really wanted to help somebody. Yeah, Alexander, you know good and well there ain't enough gold in Fort Knox to back up the paper we got printed right now. Yeah, Dave, I like to leave a tip when I go somewhere to eat. Now, I try to, even if I pull in bumpers and get me a sandwich there, I try to leave them $1 or $2. It probably ain't much, but... my debit card, my bank will back up about anything. In fact, if they catch something that looks fraudulous, they'll shut it down before whatever happens. Our bank right here, well, it's a local bank, but it's a big local bank, and they do a good job. I'll tell you this, me and my brother left on motorcycles one day, and we was getting it. Now, we decided that we was headed to, I don't know where we were going to Tennessee or somewhere. We were going to ride the Dragon's Tail and stay up there, I think. But anyway, we fueled up in Meridian, Mississippi. And then 2 hours later, we fueled up in, or maybe it was an hour or so later, we fueled up again in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And then we fueled up a third time in about another hour or so. We was up around Fort Payne, or maybe, it might not have been quite that far. We was somewhere on off about another 200 miles, because because we was getting about 150 to 200 miles between fuel up. And the third time when I put my card in there, it said declined. I told my brother, I said, we got a problem. Now, he works for this bank. He said, well, hang on. He got on his phone, called. He said, yep, they done blocked your car. I said, yeah. He said, it's got suspicious that we had used it that far apart that quick, and it picked it up, shut it down. So they've been good. I didn't complain about it. I was like, well, I'd rather them do that than let them drain my checking account, because they have reimbursed me every time that I have had my card number stolen. And it usually happens after, you know, some gas stations you had to watch. Yeah, Dave, my daughter worked as a waiter at a restaurant. You figure out they don't make but like $2 or $3 an hour. Tommy, a rabbit will cause more havoc than about anything. I see my little buddy in there. He has done come in now. What are you doing, sport? Come here. What you been up to?
I've been bananas.
You been to Nana's? Come up here and hop my lap. Well, I've been fighting flies. Them flies has been crawling on my screen up there. I've been having to whoop them off. Tell them what you been up to. Did Mama took sick? Is she gonna leave?
Yeah, and that has me a surprise of taking me to Jurassic Park and seeing stuff.
To Jurassic Park? When you go into Jurassic Park?
In the morning.
In the morning? You gotta cut corn tomorrow.
I'm doing that when I get back.
Well, where's this Jurassic Park at?
It's by the clay shop where Mama goes.
Up there at Tupelo, ain't it?
Yeah.
He's going to Jurassic Park. Well, come here. Let's look at your armband and your... I'm coming to join you, honey.
It's not funny. He thinks it's funny.
I'll be the one with the pink band around my arm.
It ain't funny.
No, it really ain't funny in a way, but tell us all about it. Might as well sit down in that chair there.
Well, I think I've been having some anxiety attacks.
We've done a video on a remedy for that, but she won't take it, y'all. She won't drink mimosa tea before y'all even start. Brody, well, I'm trying to watch my...
But I was hurting in my chest and down my arm. It's the reason I thought I was having a heart attack. But they said it must be a pulled muscle or something. But I had some low potassium. My potassium was low, so they had to give me some potassium pills before I left.
Monkey, get some bananas.
So,
I'm coming to join you, honey. I'll be the one with a banana in my hand. I'm going to have a field day with this.
it's not funny.
It is now that we know there ain't nothing wrong with you. How much is that bill going to be?
I don't know.
Kill some flies. Hey.
Hey, get out of my way.
Hey.
How long has it been since you've had a spanking? Look at me. How long has it been since you had a spanking? 5 years?
Well, we're going to stay at a hotel
Well, we
while we're at Jurassic Park.
So, you were going to start drinking that mimosa tea?
Oh
I got
my
an
God.
anxiety tincture brewing. It'll be ready in 30 days.
Oh my God.
What?
It's massive.
That's a big old spider, ain't it?
Yeah, can we kill it?
That's Charlotte.
No,
It is. She's gonna write some pig up there. We're pulling your drawers up.
Kill it.
I ain't killing that spider. It ain't bothering that.
Yeah, it is. It's killing the bug. Kill that spider.
Joe Cohen,
Eat a sweetie
I'm coming to
spider.
join you, honey. I'll be the one with the banana in my hand. Oh, Lord. Brody thought that was funny. I'm going to give her a hard time. I told her, y'all, there wasn't nothing wrong with her. It was in her mind. You want me to tell you how I know? Let me tell y'all this. Well, here she comes back. I'll tell you in a minute. What now?
I was going to tell them one thing.
All right, let's tell them one more thing.
So I went because I was having mild little spasms, but I wasn't just hurting anywhere. Well, so I was laid up in that bed back there in the room, and they went ahead and put me an IV, and when she come in there and put me an IV, and I said, what are you putting an IV in for? And she said, well, in case we need to give you some medicine or something so we don't have to do it then. I really didn't want to have an IV put in, but anyway, they did it. And I laid there, and they come in, and they did all the tests as though they were going to do. And while we were waiting on the results, the nurse come in there, and she said she had some tubes of stuff, and she was fixing to stick and get me some stuff going in my IV. And I said, what is that? And she said, oh, this is some pain medicine. And I said, pain medicine for what? She said, well, for your pain. I said, well, I told her I wasn't in a whole lot of pain. And I said, I don't want that if I ain't got to take it. I said, do I have to take it? She said, well, not if you don't want it. And I said, well, I don't want that. But they was fixing to shoot me up and get me feeling good before I come home.
Most people, that's what they go down there for, is why they just readily do it, you know.
Well, that's what Mama said. I asked Mama, I said, reckon why they, she said, probably because
Everybody likes to get high. That's why they go to the doctor. Justifiable, you know, to go down there and get high. As long as you don't buy it from a fella down the street, you know.
Then she wanted to write me a script for some muscle relaxants. I told her she could write it, but I didn't imagine I was feeling them. Them things would make you feel crazy.
I got wild lettuce down there. I got all you need. I'm fixing to play doctor with you. I'm fixing to solve your problems out of my herbal remedy. Well, sir, you better get you a headlight. You better get you a headlight on. How you gonna see where you going?
Don't get around the gas tank. Maybe knock your bottle over.
Yeah. Hey, will you do me a favor? I'm thirsty. Huh? Well, she's sick. She can't get me nothing to drink. Well. Oh, Lord, y'all. Reckon what this bill's gonna cost me. This trip to the ER in Meridian. At least you didn't take an ambulance ride down there. I'm gonna tell you, Jason, you better run that logging crew she runs at night, and I'm gonna have that tink. I'm gonna give her a squirt. It's gonna go down before she knows what's going on. You hear me?
I will say it.
You.
I was so worked up by the time I got there that my blood pressure was 135 over 105.
You trying to kill yourself. Stressed out, worrying over nothing. Look, we got to cut corn in the morning. We put it off till tomorrow.
People on Jurassic Park tomorrow.
Are you? Well, we better get up early enough to get that corn cut and put up before you go. Lord help. You cut them in a slack, and then all of a sudden you can't get nothing out of them. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. Michigan Prepper, the mistake you're making is I built this house. I'll sleep in it. If she kills me in my sleep, I'll go on to my reward. I ain't afraid to die. There's worse things in life, like living in fear of a woman. I'll get after her with this fly flopper. No, y'all, I love her. I ain't gonna mistreat her. I'll give her a hard time, though. Hey! He like to just run slam over the chimney. Back that thing up. What are you trying to do?
I need a headlight.
You ain't got no lights.
Definitely moving one.
What?
Definitely moving one.
You got a headlight?
What?
I know where a headlight's at.
Where?
In there in my room. That brand new one I got's bright. It's up on that bookshelf. You had to get Mama to hand it to you. He needs to ride around with it. It'll adjust to his little noggin, and we can see how long the battery will stay charged up, because I ain't used it. I really ain't. And they gonna send me another one. That woman said, man, you done such a good video, I want you to send you this one. It's got a little magnet and all, I don't know what all. Y'all, I done sat out here, I done plumb got thirsty. Dawn, I'm gonna finish my Tipi when my book comes in. I mentioned it earlier tonight, but I ordered a book to tell me how far to space out the holes for my lacing pins. I want to get them right. And before I finish it,
Daddy, I like your shirt.
yeah, it's got Joey Logano's number on it, number 22.
Yeah. How do you turn the light on?
I'll turn it on. Let's adjust it to your little noggin first. How's that feel? Need to be tightened up?
No. What? So.
Huh?
So.
Ah. Can you see where you going now? Y'all will have to see this now. He's ready now. Scared of the dark. Oh, I'm trying. Where'd he go? There you go. Yeah, Brody proof testing. That's about right. There's old Roscoe. Uncle Sasquatch's been wondering about you all night. Word to death, I bet you. I told him you had young'uns. You gonna tell him about your young'uns? Y'all, I'm trying to fix my, I don't know what's up with this thing. It gets all crazy with me at times. There. Oh, and Moody, the Jonah knife is $150. Y'all, Lord help, it is 10:30. Good Lord. I didn't realize it done got that late. Y'all, we are fixing to have to shut this down. Yeah, he run off after asking about his younger. He may be going up there to see about him. Anyway, y'all, I'm finna shut this down since they all home. I have been sitting. I didn't even realize it had got this late. In fact, I had full intention of not going all the way to 10 o'clock tonight, but I didn't have nothing else to do, so we're gonna close it down. He has done rode the thing all the way up under him. I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me tonight. Let me have that light. You mean cut it off? Boy, that thing right there will forevermore blind somebody. And I like the fact this headband will just wind up. It don't stretch out of whack. So, thank y'all for watching tonight, hanging out with us, having a good time. I'm going to go check on her. I give her a hard time, y'all, but I do love her. We'll check on her, make sure she's in good health. I am going to make her take some of that anti-anxiety stuff. I already knew she was stressing herself beyond her what she ought to be. She's been worried to death about us being sick, and us having COVID, and us getting the flu, and ever running nose. Then I've had some other medical issues myself, and I ain't even been worried about it. She's been worried about that. Well, I am past all of that. It wasn't nothing serious. It turned out to be some minor thing that I dealt with and got over, and then I had to burn, and we dealt with that. And she's been worried about me. I said, well, the Lord's got a work for me to do. He'll take me, or either he'll leave me here to do the work. One of the two, I'll go on to my reward. Don't make me no difference. And I honestly had that mentality, but she don't. She's worried, and so I knew it was more stress and stuff like that, which can lead to a serious problem. Come here, Roscoe. Tell Uncle Sasquatch, hey, I think Uncle Sasquatch done went to bed on us. But I do appreciate y'all hanging out. I'm going to go in and check on her. We're going to get Brody put down and see what we got to do about tomorrow, getting our corn all done before they want to leave, take him. I knew they was taking him to Jurassic World or something up there in Tupelo, Mississippi. So we'll see y'all next time. I don't know if I ain't got a video coming out tomorrow, I don't think, because I didn't film anything today. I worked on knives. But we'll do just in time. We'll be out Sunday. We'll see you then. Love y'all. Appreciate you tuning in and watching and carrying on with me for 2 and 3.5 hours. We'll see you next time. Remember, the best way to do things is the way you like to do it. We'll see y'all. Y'all have a good one.